and welcome here. We are excited to be here with Nace, of course. We are into week number 2 of the League of Legends season. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Orbital. With me is Shen, and we'll be covering the best of 3 League of Legends matchup here between Cleary and Mizzou. These two teams battling it out here to see how their season starts off, and then later on we will have a little bit of League of Legends. Shen, how you doing?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here once again, Orbital. It's another week, it's another Thursday for Nace Star League, and it's so nice to be finally here again. Cleary University and University of Missouri for the first matchup of the day, League of Legends, and then Smash Bros. Continuing our schedule, Widener University versus Lebanon Valley College.
It's going to be very exciting. Of course, the League of Legends will be casted by us, and the Super Smash Bros. Will actually be cast by a different set of casters, so make sure to tune in for that one. That'll be a lot of fun. But we can see here, Cleary Esports coming in here, going with their roster. It's Ego, Yuzuki, Painshell, Leomark, and Kiyuki on their roster for tonight's matchup.
Yeah, and University of Missouri, they have Arrogant, Prodigium, Dora Carey, Gate 7, and Ethos on their support role. We're starting out this week with University of Missouri with 1-0 up, and it looks like Cleary didn't play the first week, so it's definitely important to them to get their first week of the season.
Yeah, and I actually took a look, so that is actually a little bit of old information, I think. So right now, University of Missouri, I think, is currently sitting at 1-1, with Cleary University sitting at a 1-0. So both teams do have a win under their belt, and that actually makes me very excited, right? Because again, once you get a taste of victory, it brings a lot more to the table. You start getting amped up for the rest of the season, and you start honing in on exactly how you want your team to run. And keep in mind that this will be very interesting to watch for. So we'll get underway. It is Mizzou on the blue side to kick things off with Cleary on the red, as we are now into pick and ban.
Yes, we are, Orbital, and I think, well, I was going to say maybe something targeted to junglers, but no, you got Jace as your first ban. On the side of Cleary is going to be a jungler. Jarvan the Fourth is going to be their first ban, but I think it's a nice play to go for junglers first. What's your opinion?
For right now, I think J4 is just a good ban overall, but the Jace is one that is quite surprising. Jace has recently risen in the meta in the mid lane. We've seen it in some pro play, as well as around the AM scene. It's a very solid pickup, and it's a nice lane bully, right? It hasn't been touched by any nerfs so far, so the understanding that someone on the side of Cleary does have that talent of playing that Jace, being that absolute annoyance, is very smart. The Xayah being banned away as well, outside of the J4, the only jungle ban so far. We've had a plethora of others, right? Maybe a pseudo mid ban and then a very clear mid ban with the Akali, but Xayah being banned away, taken away from the ADC pool, makes a lot of sense as well with the rise of Xayah Rakons all over.
Oh, absolutely. Finishing off for Mizzou on their first round of bans is going to be Gragas, and Cleary just waiting for that ban that's going to come next. And I totally agree with you there, Orbital. The composition Xayah Rakan has to be on one of the most powerfuls at the moment. So if you want to look to disengage and not have any of those on the board, just take one and the other is going to feel lonely, and it's most likely that they're not going to come into play anyway. Final ban is going to be Ahri, so a lot of mid lane bans, and first pick hovering the Wukong. Mizzou might confirm it. Very nice pick that has been super frequent on collegiate play recently.
Of course, it's been frequent for a long time. I think the entirety of this season rose up to prominence in the just at the tail end of 2022 as well. So it's been a staple, right? And I think it's a solid jungle pickup here. It's not one that gives a whole lot away. This Lee Sin, though, this is also interesting because right now Lee Sin is not considered a high priority in the jungle. The fact that you do pick it up means that you are confident in your playmaking ability, also leads it to a very early game centric style for the Lee Sin, right? You're not going to power farm and scale into the late game. You pick the Lee Sin to rule the early and mid. You pick that champion to try and hold off and really shut down some of the early lane pressure that Mizzou might be trying to put out. So I like it. I like the pickup, and then the Syndra also blind. It's a good blind pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Lee Sin, as you said, is going to get that early game priority for Cleary. And I think that getting Syndra in the mid lane guarantees that they have a safe pick. It's someone that can stay in the distance. They can peel, they can disengage and stay safe for the majority of the early game should they need to. and if there are no possibilities of ganking in the mid lane, so I think that's totally fine. Especially you just said blind, so I think it checks out. Rakan, also a super great blind pick. This looks to be going in the mid lane against the Syndra. Has been seen a couple of play recently, collegiate as well, but is definitely going to be a target for Lee Sin if they get nice jungle engages.
I can agree with that. At the same time, though, Mizzou are running, at least for right now with the 3 picks, a very nice disengaged composition. You take a look down the line, the Rakan, the Lux, the Wukong, all 3 of these champions are slated to be able to disengage and attack at their own will. Clear is actually going to have a very difficult time getting close, so I appreciate the Varus pickup. You can actually long range poke everyone out, or at least you can try to, and then the Chain of Corruptions will be instrumental in trying to lock down a target, trying to ensure that you can reach the enemies in the back line. But it is a very clear difference in the pickups here. The Rakan versus the Varus means that we're going to have staggered bans here. As you can see, Cleary banning out ADCs, banning away a lot of those target ADCs that might cause some problems, and then the Thresh being banned away. Mizzou also targeting kind of that stoppage power, that ability to actually keep Rakan in that fight.
And finishing off with the Zeri and the Jinx bans, Cleary are clearly going for that stop in hyper carry potential for Mizzou. They have the Rakan, so it's a bot lane that can get very safe, so you don't want to allow them to get that late game scaling potential with the hyper carries. They don't have the Xayah because they themselves have been there before, so it's going to narrow down this pool. Maybe we're going to see a Caitlyn Gangplank hovered and locked in. No, it's going to be Jax for the top lane ban. Interesting that they stood out from the support bans, and Alistar is going to be the next one.
I'm not exactly sure about the Alistar. I know that you saw the Thresh band away and you see a Rakan, so you know it's still going to be somewhat close range, but I do have a little bit of a worry that Alistar is going to have to expend so much to try and get past the Wukong and the Rakan that this feels like a gamble pickup here. You are betting on the Rakan diving in, the Wukong diving into you first to be able to follow up, and then if the Lee Sin gets away with it, you can try and combo off of that, but it still lives a lot for Mizzou to try and fight back, and there it is, long range, just poke them out, keep them at bay. I like it. Not exactly the super high scaling champion that we were expecting, but it's going to do well, comboing with Mizzou and comboing with their long range and just stay away composition. On the top side, I would like to see a little bit of a bruiser come out here. You know, the Jax was banned away, so assuming that you're going to try and run a bruiser a little bit more straightforward and aggressive, I mean, I could see him picking up another hard scaling or maybe an early game. Yeah, that was left open as well. So I appreciate that one, the GP to follow up, and it's going to be a wombo combo of dreams here.
Oh. Interesting. I like the Malphite hover and locked in for Cleary. I think that's a good last pick for them, and I totally understand where you're coming from, but I also think that Cleary maybe already had in mind that they were going to go for something like the Malphite, so they didn't even need the Alistar to be the one to engage. So you want to get the Insect with Lee Sin, you want to get the big CC with Malphite, with the Chains of Corruption, with the Scatter of the Week from Syndra, and you don't even need the Alistar for all of that. The Alistar is going to be more of a nuisance, getting some stuns here and there, being very beefy, and maybe sometimes tanking the abilities for the ADC and Syndra. So I think it works really well. I think Malphite was a nice pick to round it all up. Mizzou though, I love Lux, I love Misfortune, I'm super biased in regards to those 2 champions. And as you said, with Rakan, with Wukong and Gangplank, they just have wombo combo potential for days.
They do, and it's going to... The gameplay that we're going to see is Cleary trying to land the wombos, right? They have a larger wombo, don't get me wrong. Cleary have the press R, go in, knock everyone up, stun everyone. It's the blow-up composition. You take a look at the composition, that's all they want to do. It's going to actually land on Mizzou to be able to scatter that team fight. So you're going to be looking at the Wukong to run interference. You're going to be looking at the Rakan to run interference. Those are actually your 2 big target picks there that are going to be saying, okay, we're going to, the Malphite might go in. Can we keep the Lee Sin from going in? Can we keep the Syndra out? Can we keep, all these other champions away? Even the Varus and Syndra from getting to our back line? If they cannot, you are primarily relying on the fact that Lux and Misfortune will have their flashes up. That is what you're hoping for, because GP is going to be in the mix. GP is already dead. I'm sorry. Like, GP goes in, lands a barrel chain, and you pray to get out. You're already too close to the fight. So with GP, it's already kind of, you know, null and void. The barrels are going to be great. Don't get me wrong. I'm very excited. But it does kind of rely on the fact that if the Wukong and Rakan cannot stop that engage, it's going to be a lot of pressure on the Lux, on the Misfortune to carry through if the fight extends further.
And on the counterpart, I think that if you play Gangplank more safely and you don't try to use the barrels as dealing damage because you're going to be on the front line, as you said, you're going to get engaged by Malphite, by everyone on the side of Cleary, you just try to use the barrels to zone them out.
True.
So if Malphite comes in, you have a chain in the middle, you're going to have to take the ADC and APC to use the auto attacks, take down the barrels, and just stall a little bit of the fighting, or just have the massive damage from the barrels while Malphite and Lee Sin are trying to get in. So I think they need to be much more safe, Mizu, on how they're playing because of it. So as you said, they are so engage focused, Cleary composition. So Mizu has to go Lux being very, very, very behind, like literally on the base, and Misfortune as well, very close to her, guaranteeing that they're going to get shielding for both of them. And then you have Rakan trying to get some defense with the shielding, but also trying to get some good outcome out of the charm. So if you land a nice ultimate, it could deny the engage from Malphite. So if you, for example, get a nice flash to the backline while Malphite is going onto your team, you can get a charm on the damage dealers, and then they're not going to deal damage on your side. So I think it's going to be very meticulous on how they play, because as you said, Cleary has so much potential to just go in, take names, and get out.
It's very, very true, and we can speculate all we want, but the players at the end of the day had the final say on how those fights break down. So we'll go ahead, go to a very short break, and get ready for game number 1. Please don't go anywhere. And welcome back, everyone. We're ready to go with game number 1. As we saw the compositions roll out, we saw Wombo Combo versus Scatter and Fight. I'm excited to see what both sides can do. Again, I always give Wombo Combo to the team that presses are the hardest, and that is, of course, clear. You can see the ultimates that they have ready to go. On the flip, though, Mizzou have ones of their own. Cannon Barrage, Cyclone, you have the Lux Beam, Final Spark, the Bullet Time, and, of course, the Quickness from Rakan. A lot of action that'll be breaking down if the teams do decide to run it down one lane on either side, or if they decide to fight in the Baron Pit or the Dragon Pit. Wherever they decide to go, I'm sure it's going to be very, very entertaining.
I think that maybe we're going to see some early game skirmishes. Maybe we'll see a 5-stack go into bot lane or top lane. We'll see how that's going to go, because I feel like any pressure you can have on Lisa in early game would be phenomenal for Mizzou. So I think that could be worth it. At the same time, you don't want to overextend that much. You have the Lux binding, so that could be nice for any setup, or at least trying to get some vision in deeper areas. We are diving straight into Summoner's Rift. Mizzou on the blue side and Cleary on the red.
And we are in, and as you said, very, very excited to see what they can bring to the table. But at the same time, it's, you know, who brings the cheese? Who decides to go a little bit fun? We are gonna go ahead and swing around. It is a 5-man invade, so for Ego, you do have to be a little bit worried, and you lose out on a pink ward. That one hurts a little bit, and you gotta say, you gotta love it, right? Very, very nice to have so far. And getting that extra gold, I was wondering who actually got it. Do they not get? I thought they gave a CS for it. No, I guess not.
I think it was Arrogant who got the extra gold with the ward.
Okay. So either way, that's great. You clear out some information and you're right back into it. But Cleary have now invaded on their own. Okay, I like this.
Yeah, we do enjoy this very much. Mizzou doesn't even know there's something that is about to happen here in this red buff area. We'll see if they're going to get the bait, or if they're very aware that Cleary might be going very aggressive in this beginning of game.
And I like this, stealing away a camp, so Prodigium will realize that, hey, things are not so nice here if they're not careful. Again, it was never warded out, so this is actually a big pickup. Yuzuki, though, trailing down behind, and this is very, very dangerous for Cleary. If they can get this wrap around. They don't know about the level 2, so it's gonna be a surprise factor. Welcome to the Rumble Dome. It's a flash knockup to get everyone slowed, and because Mizzou's bot lane is running the other way, they are locked out. You lost the flash on gate, but it's first blood over to the Lee Sin.
A lovely ingenious play from Cleary, not just stealing out their red buff, getting some very aggressive deep wards. Not only that, they have vision on their own red buff, so that is super safe. They went in from behind, got that pick on the Misfortune, on the Rakan, especially the ADC like that doesn't have any mobility whatsoever. It was bound to be a KO for them, and very nicely done. It's going to be Yuzuki who gets it. Super good for Lee Sin. You would like it any day. Oh no!
Oh, that was another one, as they're just punishing this bot lane. It's happening again and again and again. You don't even care that Kyuki did die. All you care about is the fact that Leomar got another kill. It doesn't matter if Rakan gets 2 kills. You're happy about your ADC getting 2.
Oh, definitely. You're gonna trade that any day. And to be fair, I appreciate Turiko getting those kills for them. I think that was a nice trade. But as you said, Leomar is going to be feeling super healthy and happy when they come back, reset, and get the extra gold in their pockets into items so they can punish the Misfortune even more.
So nice. So we'll get underway with a little bit more, because Cleary have obviously and very clearly identified bot lane as the site that they want to go for. Yuzuki actually sacrificed a 3-camp difference to have this bot lane ahead, and now Kyuki is sacrificing bot lane pressure to try and get some farm in the other lanes and try and get the other lanes ahead, which is interesting, right? This does create a substantial or different problem, because one, you are being active, you are being very, very aggressive. However, if that does not yield a significant amount of results, you're actually just kind of hurting yourself.
Yeah, gotta be careful with being over aggressive. They're going on Kyuki here. They are alone, but it's an Alistar. They're gonna be able to escape from this one. Prodigium trying to follow up as well, but Yuzuki is there. Nobody takes the Scuttle Crab thus far, but they're going to go for an invade and taking down this blue buff. It's not gonna be uncontested though.
It's just gonna be there. But Prodigium has so far extended that lead even further. That is now a 5-camp lead that the Wukong has over, and it shows in the level as well. Yuzuki, for all the aggression they had, is now only level 2. They have only been allowed to hang on to 2 camps. So right now, Cleary is quite literally putting so many eggs in the basket of Pain Shell, of Leomark, and of Kyuki. These 3 really have to get on board and really start utilizing the lead. Kyuki wants to go for it. Welcome. That's going to be a little bit of flash over. Kyuki's looking for it. Level 3 on Kyuki, level 4 on Leomark, and they are going to go in. Good knockup to keep Avaris away, but that's a flash forward. They're just going to try and get some more damage down. I don't think they have the extra damage. That's going to be an arrow piercing through. Oh my gosh. The burst was so good. And out goes the ADC. But the problem is Prodigium's coming in. Prodigium is level 4. Remember, no flash on Leomark. So Prodigium might have a chance. But good headbutt keeps the Wukong away. Leomark trying to run for their life and trying to get extra damage down. But again, the flash from the Wukong seals the deal. Varus is dead and Kyuki's running for the hills.
Stamp on this contract. Prodigium was amazing on that turnaround. The counter gank, well, it wasn't even a counter gank, it was just over aggression coming from Leomark and Kyuki. The one mistake was going for that flash. They were already in range for the arrow. They were in range for the auto attacks. I think it was a little too much to try to get that close, especially when you're getting under the tower like that. Gate 7 gonna deal damage. The ignite is gonna pop. Kyuki might be in trouble if Gate 7 can get that last auto attack. It's gonna be so close.
It was close, and now because the teams have both overextended, Leomark now has a chance to pick up an extra kill. But look, the ward over the wall. Toriko's actually playing on a great angle. Because of that, the damage is done. Is Leomark actually going to die here? It's a trade of 1-for-1, but you know what? Toriko will take that. What a challenge. What a situation to be in. And that's going to give Gate a little bit of extra time. Now, an ult on the top side as fights are breaking out all over. Remember, Zuki is only level 4, but a great slap of damage means one more auto could take it. The Q is going to land as Zuki picks up that kill. Now 2-1 and 2. And Prodigium is now on the wrong side of the rift. You have no flash. You have no chance to fight it out. Yuzuki does not want this, though. You got the damage. You have the kill. And you're happy with what you just gathered in the top side.
Yeah, and we had 2 fights happening here. We had one in the bottom path before we saw the nice positioning from Toriko. You had the vision with the ward just behind that wall. Oh, what a flash and a knock-up into the damage from Pain Shell. They're going to be close to taking down. Oh, there we have it. The last sphere finishes off and Lux is going to be dead. But the follow-up not only from the aggression in the bottom lane, but also in the top lane as well, showing that clearly has had amazing communication so far, and it is paying off.
Yeah, it's also the feeling of we pushed the limit, we pushed the speed up. The tempo has now accelerated from 80 beats per minute to about 150, and we have to keep it up, right? If we slow down, we're going to lose our edge, and we're going to allow the opponent to get right back into it. So we have to keep fighting, we have to keep going, we have to keep chasing, and they're doing it here. Leomark is able to pick up one. Do you get the stun down? Yes, you do. But look at the auto attacks, and look at the arrow again. It's a double kill for Leomark, who is now 5-2-1.
5-2-1 is something that an ADC is going to be happy about every single time, and it's paying off with the pressure that we had with Lee Sin. Yuzuki set up this bot lane to have this much success. Prodigium was trying to counterattack as well. I think it was a little difficult to go past Kyuki on the Alistar. They try to get some damage. Nice positioning from Leomark as well has been paying off for those kills. And at the end of the day, they are now free to let their support roam. There they are in the mid lane, and Yuzuki's coming from an attack.
I mean, they know they have the early game advantage. Cleary has those early game champions. The Scout of the Week is so strong on the Syndra. The Alistar thrives in these early stages. And again, when the ultis are not really ready, the problem is here. You overstepped your aggression. A little bit of a stun comes out, or a cage comes out from Fuzzy Owl, and they pick up 1. So it's 5-8 in the kill area, but remember, only 3 of those have gone to carries. With that kill on the bot side, though, Mizzou are going to go ahead and pick up this dragon, the first dragon of the game.
Yes, the first dragon orbital, and with the Remus. Okay. emote coming from Lux, you gotta feel very confident now that you know what your champion can do. As soon as you hit a final spark, your team is going to have the upper hand on a team fight, and it really helped a lot on taking that support down. Pain Shell is going to deal a lot of damage onto Lux instead, and Prodigian is coming for a dive.
This dive could be dicey. Again, they're only level 5, and I mean, honestly, if you want to go for that dive, if you had the quickness, that would have been a kill. I think that would have straight up been a kill if level 6 were available for either of them. But with what it is, Leomark is allowed to live, and because of that, Yuzuki is now on the top side. Now, this kill could be very, very rough. If Arrogant goes down, it's going to be Herald drop. That's going to be a flash forward and a quick kick. That's the kill to Ego, who is now going to steamroll ever further ahead. This counter pick Malphite, staying head-to-head, building up the appropriate amount, and waiting for the right opportunity to set up Yuzuki.
Every single time that we have seen Yuzuki on the map, it has been so successful in ganking. 2-1 and 3 right now, keeping up with the farm, getting some steals here and there. But I think that overall, Cleary has great knowledge on how that gameplay has to work because of that composition. And on top of that, I feel like they're using their summoner spells really well. The only one that didn't work quite that well was Leomark on that flash earlier in the game, but it doesn't matter. They are still super healthy. You're gonna have Kyuki going over the wall with a Hextech flash, might be going for a flank. They're still in the shadows, and Pain Shell is around too.
Pain Shell is ready to help out, and this is going to be that dive. Kyuki tanking it up. This is what you love to do. Good flash away from the Scout of the Week, but Toriko is now on the line. But you live a huge out by Mizzou's bot lane. They stay alive and defend against the gank.
Yeah, Gate 7 with 0 mana used that last 100 in their arsenal to just take down that bullet time and stop this dive. It worked out super well for them. Still, very nice attempt from Cleary, playing around what they know is a good possibility of a game style. And Arrogant and Ego. Oh my god, I just noticed they're called Arrogant and Ego. What a matchup. I love them together.
Well, now it just goes to show, you know, what's actually worse, having an ego or being arrogant, you know? And so far, having the ego is winning out. Will that continue on to the mid to late? Possibly. Malphite top, and of course the on-hit Malphite is even better. I love this. So for those that don't know, Malphite press the attack has been a thing for the last couple, I want to say the last 2 patches. It's disgustingly damage heavy because of the W scaling. It's so rude, but it works so well in lane that you just can't deal with it. It allows you to be on par with some of the other aggressors out there, so I really, really like it. For right now, though, we'll chill away from that because now it's mid lane. Fuzzy, having used that Q, is now going to flash away. You are able to stay alive. Yuzuki, though, has to get away. Look at over the wall. A good stun, a good knock-up, and a good kill. Fuzzy Owl takes the Lee Sin's life with a final spark.
Mizu gotta be happy about that. Every single time that something goes wrong for Cleary, it's Fuzzy Owl who's getting those final KOs, and that's gonna be super important for them. If you have that Lux scaling around, that's gonna be good for shielding, and especially for the high burst damage that we know her for. Bot lane is gonna be a 1v1, Gate 7, not interested in getting anything. Maybe they are, because Toriko is right there.
Oh yeah, this is again a chance to go forward, but Leomark says, hey, I have a chance. Do you get the auto attacks? Yes, you do. You win. Because again, Leomark is so far ahead. The lethal tempo is stronger as well. And you win it out in a 1v2. You need to bring more than just a misfortune and Rakan if you want to take this archer's life.
Oh, this is Leomark saying, well, so Shani, you said that flash wasn't that great. Well, have a look at this one. It was incredibly well played. Super nice to see. Not only that, we had the power spike for the shield bow, granting them that extra lifesteal, the shielding as well, and that had them alive for the rest of the fight. They took the double kill. They have the Herald spawning just because Yuzuki was around, and mid lane is going to collapse again.
It's never stopping, and Kyuki, honestly, I'm not thrilled about this consistent dive, right? You are giving extra gold back over, you're giving extra advantages back to the enemy team, and especially with how bot lane's going, Leomark is doing a fantastic job, has been such a powerhouse. Oh, Gate, I'm not actually sure if you want this. I'm not sure if you actually enjoy this. Yeah, you don't win. You don't win. The burst is just too strong. You are without a mythic, without upgraded boots, and you're facing off against an immortal shield bow already prepped along with that attack speed boots. It's disaster in the bot side for Mizzou.
Definitely disastrous for them in Game 7. The only way they could have won that fight if they had Flash available to get away from the arrow. Unfortunately, it was not there for them. Still on cooldown, and you gotta be careful with the fights you choose to pick because you're not in a good position now. 1, 6, and 2 are almost double behind. Well, at least half. There we go, mathematics. That's how it works. They are half CS behind in regards to, in comparison to Leomar, and that's not going to be good.
It's going to be a problem here as the teams start to actually get together and start grouping up for some of these fights. It's a trade out of supports as they both die, but on the top side, Ego is able to win. Doesn't need Flash, just needs that Ignite. And now the chase is on because the front line is down. It's going to be another stun. A great stop on Fuzzy Owl, who has no more spells available. It's a cleanup in the jungle as it's a 3-for-1 across the board.
Unfortunately for Mizu, they are relying heavily right now on the damage from the Lux, and unfortunately as an enchanter she can only land the abilities. It's going to be 3 of them, Q, E, and R, and then when they're on cooldown you turn into a minion. You can't really do anything because at this stage you're not going to be leveling up your shield, so it's not going to shield for that much as well. So oh my god, what is that damage? They don't even have electrocute.
No, they don't need it. And remember, on the top side, it's never ending. As soon as that unstoppable charge is up, unstoppable force, whatever you want to call it, it is done. Ego sends the GP into the ground. This counterpick Malphite is working wonders, and I love that build right there. A frozen heart right away, saying, give me that raw armor. Let me slap you into oblivion. Prodigium is just now getting to the lane. And it feels, at every step, Mizzou is trying to play catch-up.
Yeah, and it's not going to be easy for them when you have Kyuki going around as well. Once again, Yuzuki 2 following up. They take down that turret, and they're going to go in Prodigium.
Yeah, this is again Cleary just kind of flexing their muscles. They are straight up 1 damage dealer. Well, 1.5. I give Ego that benefit. But it feels like it shouldn't be allowed, right? But they are. They will continue to be allowed to do this as long as they can bait it out. Even the cannon barrage is being used, but Pain Shell is ready to go. Do you get this stun off? Are you going to destroy him? Yes. Prodigium is going to be that sacrificial lamb. The monkey has been slaughtered, and Leomark is now godlike at 10-2-2.
I think my favorite bit about that fight, Orbital, was flashing into the headbutt onto the Herald and just staying in the corner of the pit, silently getting their recall. That was amazing for me. Oh my. But Mizu really has to recognize at this point that they gotta try to get some of that upper hand in just farming and trying to steal the objectives, because so far they are super behind. Almost 10k gold, around 9k right now, and once they get those objective bounties on those outer turrets, all of them on 3 lanes still standing, maybe even steal with the final spark, the next Drake as well, that's going to be something to help.
Oh, but that's a great final spark over the wall, and this time around, it is going to be Leomark, who is reminded that for all the kills that they have, they are still very squishy. They are still extremely squishy there. So great kill. And now you got to try and work off of it, right? Because it's the small things. We just said, you just said, you know, they're looking at a 10k deficit. It is now shrunk. It's now down to about 8. It's still a large deficit. You need every bit of gold that you can back into the game. And not just that, you need to start finding kills around global objectives to start opening those windows up to you as well.
Yeah, it's very important to recognize those openings. And right now, it was an excellent pick going on Leomar, getting that shutdown. I didn't notice exactly who got the kill. Was it Wukong? I think it was Prodigium who got that one. And it's definitely necessary for them to try to get it. Ooh, what a flash, Fuzzy Owl. And they're going to escape this one. Toriko getting engaged as well because Cleary has all the dominion over this jungle.
It's all theirs. They don't have to stop. Even with the wards down, you can see it's a very gentle display of wards from Mizzou. They are forced only into about 3 different brushes on this bottom side, whereas Cleary have all the vision to see if there's going to be a TP coming in from Aragorn, which I don't even think Aragorn wants to do. Remember, there's no flash right now on Fuzzy, so they're just going to take it up. But Ego, you are tanky, but not that tanky. You don't have HP behind it, but you're able to get one. Can you clean it up? Yuzuki's wanting to chase forward a little bit further, but Kiyuki says there's not anyone else. Aragorn was able to TP in, get a little bit of time. time, no energy for Yuzuki, and Paincho can't really follow up. So Kyuki may get run down here. That's going to be a turn. A great bait by Arrogant is able to secure that kill, and Yuzuki has to flash away. For what it's worth, that is a 2 for 2 that Mizzou are happy about taking.
Definitely. I think at this point, they have to take anything that they take down from Cleary, and they know they're going to be super aggressive, so I liked the positioning from Gate 7. They were very, very behind, almost close to the inhibitor turret even, and it helped them land a nice bullet time, loads of damage on at least 3 team members there from Cleary, so that was very necessary for them. Unfortunately, Fuzzy Owl was the one getting started upon. It's bound to happen because you are right now the person that deals the most damage in your team, and the only tank, well, the biggest tank that you have in the hands of Ego being that Malphite, they only have the armor, so you're going to be able to deal damage on them as well. So Fuzzy Owl has to be one of the big priorities for Cleary in these team fights, especially with the AoE damage. So it was super well executed, and the counterattack from Mizzou as well was definitely what they had to get going to be able to try to contest these next objectives.
So much to think about for Mizzou, so much to think about for Cleary as well. And with this dragon, this could be the turning point. Is a Chemtech Soul to play for? Having that extra resistance, having those extra pieces in your back pocket are very, very important. Now, do keep in mind, all the dragons were nerfed in this patch. I believe actually 4 out of the 6 were nerfed. Hextech, Chemtech, Infernal, and I think Ocean. No, sorry, Mountain. All 4 were kind of pushed down in the standings. I think they each lost about 3% off of their percentage scalings. So a little bit of a change. That won't matter here. But it does mean that if you are expecting that same level of power out of the dragons, it's not going to be as evident. So we're going to wait and see, but that is another objective to Cleary, who are now pushing in a 1-3-1. And I really, really do appreciate this, because this is what happens. Mizzou recognize an opportunity and take it right away. Bot side, though, they steal one right back as a tower is going to fall. This is going to be a re-engage, though. Mizzou say, hey, we lost. We got one. Can we get another? Well, so far you can't. That's going to be a jump in. You only need one. Over the wall to go, though. Gate gets a freebie out to safety, and the rest of the team will follow. Fuzzy Owl's the only one to die in that secondary engage. Yuzuki can't land the Sonic Wave, but it's more than enough. Remember, Cleary pushed the tower, got a second on the bot side because of the Herald, and had taken control once again of the mid lane.
Mizzou really taking the scraps out of every fight at this point. It was a nice engage on Leo Mark, but the moment that Cleary said, you're not taking down my ADC, even though they did go down, you're gonna be down as well, and we're taking at least 2-3 of you with us, and that's what they did as well in the bot lane. So the pressure that they have is paying off. Cleary has all the pressure and priority here for this Baron, but it's still a lot of damage that this buff is going to deal. The TP is going to land, and they're going to go for a nice contest, just taking them out of the jungle, and the engage starts.
Let's more just disengage, engage, if you will. Mizzou just making sure the Baron doesn't get taken. And for all the action, for how long this game has kind of gone on, you do have to keep in mind these teams have been fighting back and forth so crazily that no one's really had a fantastic time. They've all been having to jockey for positions. So as tanky as you think you are, you're not as strong as you wish. So Kyuki was kind of reminded about that. You're still only level 9. You haven't hit that level 11 power spec that you need to have that secondary ultimate. And it's starting to show. So right now, Cleary, yes, they can engage. As long as it's on their own terms, they feel strong. They just have to realize if they start engaging improperly, there will be some problems. Baron once again started up, and you can see it's falling quite quickly here, which is nice.
Yes,
for Prodigium is in the area. Wants to try and run interference. Ego trying to slap him down, and look at the damage. That is the jungler taking quite low. Shrelia is activated by Toriko, and they're going to try and jump up. Scatter the Weak doesn't land, but that's going to be the ulti. Arrogant is ignited, and they might be taken out. No, they do survive. They have just enough. No barrels coming out, though, as the execute comes out from Pain Shell. Pain Shell is now unstoppable, as it's a single kill to work. Fuzzy Owl, though, looking to get the assassination. Kyoki still lives. Yuzuki is going to fall through, and this is now Cleary running train on the rest of this battle. That's a shutdown for Fuzzy Owl, but the Scatter the Weak from Flash over the top leads them to another kill. Again, Cannon Barrage from Arrogant, who was allowed to live, seals the deal on the Alistar. But overall, it's a 3 for 2 that Cleary now have a chance at Baron.
Yes, they do, Orbital. That is as good as they can get because Fuzzy outlanded that such nice final spark. So much damage on at least 2 members, almost taking down that Alistair, as you said, finished off by the barrels from Arrogant. And even though that was the case, Cleary still has enough damage to tear down this Baron buff. There's no vision inside the pit. Arrogant doesn't have a blast. Garnet to Rico is not going to be able to do much. And Red Team secures this first Baron of the game. But Orbital, I think that they're starting to come back around Mizu. And once they get, at least, as I said a couple of minutes ago, those tier 1s in any of the lanes, I think it's going to be a huge buff to them. I know that Gate 7 also got that big shutdown on Leo Mark in 2 fights ago, I believe. So that's going to be huge. They are starting to slowly conquer back what is rightfully theirs, the jungle, this red buff. And they did secure it? Was it stolen? No, they got it. It's okay. Prodigium's got it. But yeah, finally getting some space. And in comparison to Drake's, it's very clear with what you said in regards to the patch that it's not that important anymore in regards to stacking them because it's only been 3 Drakes so far. We're still waiting for the next one, 15 seconds to go. So we'll see if Mizu is going to prioritize that or just try to clear out these waves.
That's all they can do, and for right now, Prodigium also trying to scale up, but look at this bot side. It is broken open. That will be a tower on the top side, so as you said, a little extra gold, but is it too little too late? Inhibitor is going to fall at 25.5 minutes, which enables Cleary to focus on this dragon and put themselves at soul point. It's been slow goings, and that gold lead has now increased once again to 9k. Doesn't feel like it's going to stop anytime soon. Arrogant, though, is saying, listen, it doesn't have to stop. As long as it stays the same, just keep it there. Don't let it change or maybe make it lower. Prodigium saying, I understand you. So, with the rest of Mizzou, they are now pressuring out. I wonder who they're going to send bot side. It looks like Arrogant is going to be allowed to soak up the CS, which is huge again. You know, Arrogant still not going for the Mythic. Doesn't really need it, just going with the Legendaries. This is a big chance. Dragon now finished off. It is now soul point for Cleary, as that's going to be a route. Ego trying to dance away, does have to stay alive for it to continue onwards, but doesn't want to burn the ulti. Again, you don't want to lose that all-powerful tool.
You definitely do not, and Ego still has that ability. With the Baron buff, they're going to be able to push this really hard. It's going to be difficult for Mizu to try to take down those super minis, but Prodigium's going into these two, and TP is going down as well. Maybe they're going to be able to get something here, but it's at this point, it's just Prodigium against 3 people from Cleary, and they're engaging once again. Ego gets a nice knock-up, but they don't get much out of it just yet. Top lane is going to go down by Pain Shell, and mid lane follows right behind. Orbital, they're taking this to a finish.
I think this might be game here. That was a kill that they really enjoyed. Pain Shell inside of the Zanya said, not today. That is going to be a root and the bullet time, but the bullet time is actually stopped, so it is all slowed down, and Pain Shell baited just enough time. A final Q lands, but the kills have made it through. Yes, you killed the Alistar. Yes, you got the shutdown on Pain Shell, but you lose your base in response. I don't think they'll be able to go for the Nexus, but they can easily take the rest of the inhibitor towers. This is going to be Cleary making a statement. If you step over one too many times, Mizzou will have to face the reckoning.
Definitely a hard first match of a best of 3 for this week for Mizu, as Cleary has dominated every single step of this game from the very first minute to the 27 mark where we have here. Both the Nexus turrets falling down on 60% health. That's going to be huge for them. They have taken down all inhibitors, so the super minions are coming as well. The Baron buff has expired, but the super minions are still going to do a great job at pushing and keeping that pressure on. So Mizu is going to have to stay in their base for a lot longer. They're not going to get any close to those objective bounties that I mentioned earlier. And as you said, it might just be a little too late. They got that top turret. Arrogant took it down. But unfortunately, what does it serve when you have your whole base being taken down by Cleary?
And the fact of the matter is, this is Mizzou not even having that chance for themselves, right? They're not being allowed to make these decisions. They're not being allowed to try and come to a conclusion on their own. Cleary is asking them the question and then forcing them to take their answer. They are forcing Mizzou to circle the answer that they give. Cleary is dictating every single aspect of this game, and it feels like this is just going to be it. You can see all the swarms of super minions are now pushing into the base. It doesn't feel like there's an opportunity for the rest of Mizzou to fight back. They are lone here. They are 4 on 5, and that's going to be the bullet time. Not really landing on anyone. They are chasing for that Syndrome, but in the backline, the Wukong is annihilated. Toriko now going to get killed off, and it is the Nexus Towers to fall. This is Cleary giving us a clear indication of who they think will win the game. A fountain dive on gate will secure the triple kill, and that will be game number 1 going the way of Cleary.
Crystal clear how they got the hang of everything in this game, Orbital. They managed to get the pressure in the early. They continued scaling super well. They said, well, it's going to be early game up until the 30-minute mark. We don't care. We're going to prove that the Lee Sin does not fall off. We're going to prove that this Varus can do so much and that we have great positioning all around as well as communication. So congratulations for them for this first win of the night as we continue for this best of 3. Orbital, do you expect anything different from this draft?
I don't think they need to change it up horrendously. For the side of Mizzou, it was not a compositional error. It was just the overall aggression coming out of Cleary that was a little bit over the top. They were just about a kill a minute. They were not stopping. So for Mizzou, I think they just got to pick up the pace. They got to be aware that this is going to happen. And if it does happen again, they won't have a choice. But game number 2, play a little bit smarter, understand that things will happen, and try and adjust accordingly. So we will go to a short break. We'll get back into things real quickly with Mizzou versus Cleary to see the outcome of game number 2. Don't go anywhere. Dang it! No, I am here. I promise, I am
All
here.
right.
Oh man, yeah.
We're
so,
all here. We can
thank
hear you, Orbital. It's okay.
I appreciate it, but yeah, getting back into it, I do apologize for that little mishap, but we are back with game number 2, and my gosh, was game number 1 exciting. It was a phenomenal time, almost a kill a minute. We had Cleary on the start, off the gun, was ripping up that rift, and I'm so excited to see what they got for game 2.
Oh my god, me too. And Mizu was trying their best in trying to contest the incredibly aggressive early game composition that Cleary had. And I think that it's something that they have to address in the draft, right, Orbital? As you said, I agree that there's no need to change everything up. There was not a problem with the draft that they had, but definitely they are aware now of how oppressive Cleary can be. So they have to be ready to try to handle whatever has come to their way, or if they're going to get any of the champions that were in the last match for bans in this next series.
Of course, and I think it all kind of lands down on Yuzuki. Yuzuki in the jungle was a beast. Sacrificed 4 camps, sacrificed a good majority of their own jungle clear just to get the lanes ahead. I haven't seen a jungler do that in quite some time. It says one of two things. Number one is you have absolute faith in your teammates to pick up a lot of the issues that might come on later, which we did see a little bit, right? The Lee Sin did not hit level 6 as quickly as we were hoping. It wasn't as it wasn't as bounce back as sometimes we see, right? We can see the Lee Sin get out of sticky situations. This time around, you couldn't really have that. So we saw a lot of focus from Yuzuki, and if anything, there's a reason that Lee Sin was pretty much automatically picked up in round 1. That is something that, as you were saying, could be banned away and could be taken care of. But I think Yuzuki, that playstyle felt like it was just in general, Yuzuki's just all over the map, very in your face. So, I mean, that leads it to the next question, right? What can you do against this jungler that's always being aggressive and never really stopping?
Yeah, I think that if you are Cleary, you know that even if they ban the Lee Sin, you could go Wukong yourself. You maybe could go Vi, can be very aggressive too. You could go Javan 4, that was banned in the previous match. So there are a lot of possibilities that we have it. Even Cleary themselves banning the Javan 4s. We so far have this exact same draft and picks and bans so far. So Jace and Zaya on the blue side, Akali and Javan on the red. So nothing different so far. Maybe they'll change something up on the picks. We'll wait and see.
I don't think they really will, because again, it goes back to it. I wonder if Mizzou have fallen into this kind of thought line of it wasn't the champions, it was really just us falling behind, or if it is a champion, we gotta ban out that one person or find a counter, right? If you really want to, that Wukong was not bad, but the Wukong just didn't have any impact, right? It did not have that early game, kind of pressure that other junglers might have. So you just got to change up your own play style. And it looks like Mizzou are actually saying that right now. Once again, it was Cleary that decided to be on that red side, and we can see it here. Cleary just saying, yeah, we're okay, and it's the same exact draft, at least for the first 3 picks.
Yeah, we got the confirmation here to be very straightforward with everyone. You noticed that there was a very long delay in the break, so thank you so much for staying tuned. The reason for that is that one of the players for the series tonight, they are celebrating the Ramadan, breaking off fast, so they had to have that moment to then come back to our games. So it's very nice to see that we all respect all the religions here, and it's important to give everyone their space. But we are back into the space of Summoner's Rift, and this time around the Jinx is on the board. Even though Wukong was the first champion to be picked, Jinx is there, so we know that Mizzou is going to have something more deadly to their advantage to a late game scenario. But it's Lee Sin on the other side. Do you think that's going to be a late game anyway?
I don't think so. Jinx still has the same issue as Misfortune, where you are very immobile. The thing is if any kills actually go back, if it's traded now 1-for-1, it feels better on the Jinx. The Talia is a shakeup though, because remember last time it was stay away, play safe, don't go hard. But this time around, Mizzou, after picking that one up, it's now denied. Cleary say, well, we're not going the Alistar. Once we see that you picked up that Talia, we're going to go long range. We're actually going to play it back. No longer are you going to play that Alistar that's super aggressive from level 1. This is going to be a much calmer, at least bot lane for a time. They're saying, we don't have to regress. We're going to beat you going fast, and we're going to beat you moving at a much slower pace. So I really, really like this shift from Cleary.
Yeah, me too. On the other hand, I think Talia can be much more mobile than we had in the looks the last time around, so maybe that's going to enable them for better pickups and engages. So we'll see how they're going to go about that, because any lead that you can give to the Jinx, very much appreciated, but she's still going to rely on having the first item, the mythic, and then the second one at least, to be able to really pop off on the team fights. So we'll see if they are going to be able to manage that side of the party. On the side of the bans, though, we have the Thresh and Rakan once again on different sides of bans this time around. And the respect for the Malphite, really love to see it. Is this a Senna ADC I see?
Yes, I think it is, and this is going to be another fun thing, as Senna has been coming back in the meta quite heavily. The range is still very good. It still brings a lot of power. But Mizzou actually going on the offensive, so I was very curious about this. They're the ones going to test the limits of that early aggression. Rel, in the current meta, strong champion on their own, but against the likes of a Seraphine Senna, I don't really enjoy that. This is much better. Thank you for that one. Now you have a chance to draw someone in to fight them on your own side. I love that pickup for Mizzou.
And so far, if you consider Cleary's composition, if you pick any of them, if you hook any of them, it's fine, aside from the Lee Sin, because if you can't just knock him down and KO him as fast as possible, it could be a problem. He could kick people away from your team and into Cleary's side of the map. But Kennen, I am loving. We talked about maybe Miso not changing things up, but they really did stir out the pot.
I think they did, but I don't. As much as I like the Kennen pickup, I'm not sure it was necessary to ban the Malphite then, because against a Kennen, I don't think you want to run that. Yeah, this is much easier for Cleary to do. It still brings the same level of aggression. You're gonna go for one of those heavy just run at you pieces, and this time around the Malphite doesn't for the top side, you don't have to build standard. You're gonna go that stride breaker. You're gonna be that absolute annoyance. And the Kennen this time, you don't have to worry about the ulti. You have to worry about a basic champion just kind of running you down. So Cleary have adapted to the playstyle of Mizzou, and they have their composition has fluidity to it. I really, really like that fact. They know what they want to do. They've identified the other weak spots of Mizzou, and they're playing accordingly.
And it really comes from how we saw Cleary playing in the last game. It's translating into their adaptability in the draft for the second match. And I totally agree with you. I think that having a Garen alongside the Lee Sin is going to be two potential targets that if Blitzcrank gets a hold of them, it's definitely not going to be good. So it's important for Mizzou to get those targets really, really precisely executed, because if you get the Seraphine, totally fine. If she doesn't have time to use an Encore, because being so close to your team, the Encore could be devastating. At the same time, Senna as well doesn't have that much. She can go a little more fast with movement speed and go into the shadows, but it's definitely not in invulnerability. So there are a couple of ways for them to go around this good fluid composition that you mentioned that Cleary has.
Of course, but there's also some adaptability on both sides, so I'm very, very excited to see what they can do. Chen, if you had to pick, though, excluding game number one, because we knew that fast-paced action just kind of caught Mizzou off guard, if you would like to lay a little bit of your confidence down on one side, whether it be because of the composition, because of the champions, or because of the win cons currently set out, which one would you favor here, just based on the compositions?
Just based on the compositions. It's a hard question, because one of the things, if I think about Mizzou, is something that you mentioned in regards to the Kennen. It can work. It's not a bad pick at all. But at the same time, why did you get that ban going out if it could be a good counter for it? So a little counterintuitive themselves. On the other hand, I love the Jinx. I love having the Rel. I think she can be a good protection for her, but also enabling her in regards to picks. You have the Wukong again. There is a lot that can be done, but I think I'm going with Cleary for the next match, because I agree with you in regards to that fluidity that they have in that composition. And as much as I am trying not to think about the performance in the first game, it's a little hard. And they were really outstanding, so that is might be waiting a little bit on my judgment.
I mean, I agree with you. That stipulation of you have to disregard game one, that's a curveball that I love to throw at, but it's completely, we can't do that. They were so good. So I gotta agree, Cleary look like they're gonna have a lot of fun with this composition, maybe at the same pace as game one. However, we expect Mizzou to be able to fight back, so please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Nay Star League here in just a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. We're ready to go with game number 2. And my gosh, if Cleary are not ready to fight it out, I'm not sure if they will be. So let's go ahead, take a look at the champions once again, because these two teams have been duking it out left and right in game number 1. But Cleary were unfortunately quite the adversaries this time around. Mizzou trying to play a little bit more on the nose, especially with that blitzcrank there.
You gotta be careful with that robot because he can do a lot. He can cause you a lot of trouble, but Cleary definitely has the ability to be prepared for it. They have Senna with that movement speed and getting in the shadows. The Seraphine, as well as the support, is going to be able to heal and shield as well. Scattering of the weak from Syndra in the mid lane is going to help disengage and engage as well. And that composition overall with the aggression of Lee Sin and what they can do with Garen late game 2 is very exciting. Jumping into this game, Mizzou once again on the blue side, Cleary on the red, and both of them have started with 5 stacks, but they're not meeting each other halfway.
Nope, not at all. Because number 1, Cleary know the first rule about blitzcrank. You don't not stack against a blitzcrank. You have to. Like, you just have to. So I like the fact that they were prepared for it. Mizzou had to take a different angle to it and look for the top side, so they at least get information down. They knew that, hey, top side Ego was not really sitting there, so you now have a ward in that tri-bush. Very, very nice. Very nice for them to be able to hang on to. And so now we even get information on this side. So Kyuki and Leo Mark from that early invade, or from that defense of the invade, are now going to try and get some cheese off on Gate and Ethos.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, Ethos knows that it's not a good idea to try and go so blindfolded into that tri-bush. So being a blitzcrank and knowing how much you can do, you also know how much you cannot do. So against a ranged champion that is Senna, that is Seraphine, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble should they get so much damage on you. The first hook of the game is it's not going to land, but still we are up for a good start. Cleary pushing this bot lane for the level 2 as fast as they can.
It really is on the spot side. It really is just about surviving and getting stacks. Like, that is a huge thing for Cleary. On the top side, I mean, Ego, you're not going to get a chance to really fight this out too early. You're going to wait till that level 4, level 5, and even maybe wait till level 6 till you get that execute and before you can kind of run. But that's going to be a hook. Kyuki flashing away, not wanting to deal with it. But that's now a route back. And now the damage is there. That's another shot. And that's Leo Mark taking the kill.
Would you imagine having that nice hook from Ethos, getting Kyuki in tower range, then getting the flash away from them, but the damage from the snare from both champions there on the bot lane was able to get the first blood in around 2 minutes. Cleary is not here to play, well, not play around, I guess.
Oh man, this is so rude, but Yuzuki this time rightfully being punished. Instead of ganking lanes, you were trying to gank the jungle, and you can't do that. This time Prodigium and Ethos are able to punish appropriately. And once again, Prodigium will be up in CS, but this time without the issue of Yuzuki impacting those other lanes so early on.
Getting some damage down on that tower in the top lane, Arrogant trying to stack up for the platings, dealing some damage on Eager. Once again, one of the things that we talk about is the advantage that a ranged character is going to have in a solo lane. Prodigium arriving here in the bottom lane. There is a ward close by, so they're going to be spotted. Maybe just trying to get something in the jungle. The hook is going to miss, and Ethos is even absolutely down on mana, so nothing that can come from after this fight.
I mean, the fight was not really that main source. You were hoping to just try and get in this river, and it looks like they're actually going to get it. Pain Shell actually roaming down very quickly on, and they get the pinch. Down goes Prodigium, and now Ethos is out of mana. Remember, they have no summoner spells, so a quick turnaround by Cleary nets them to a beautiful job by the entirety of the Cleary squad. You know, of course, excluding Ego, but we don't talk about top lanes. Beautiful job to gather 2 kills back off of a very slight aggression by Mizzou's side.
Yeah, we don't talk about top lane. No. That's how it goes. Top lane is a whole old thing where they just slap each other around. In this case, Arrogant slaps them a little more than Ego does them. But such a nice rotation from Pain Shell, from Yuzuki, after failing that invade, getting the retaliation back, getting that nice 4-min presence in the bottom river, and guaranteeing those kills. Super nicely executed.
So for right now, as you said, Cleary just kind of executing on top, and we now get to see how Mizzou try and deal with this one. We can already see a float towards that top side. Prodigium trying to look at that Garen, but Ego knows it. Ego knows they're on the weak side, so they have to play appropriately in that situation, right? Down about 10 CS, looking at about 20, I should say. So you're just saying, okay, play it slow, play it smart, see what happens. The dodges from Gate this time around are going to keep them safe. But it is very important. Keep in mind, Cleary have identified this bot side as theirs, and the fact that it's an Infernal Dragon first will be so nice for Cleary if they get it.
Oh yeah, as soon as they guarantee that one, should they do it, considering that they have pushed far enough here on the bottom lane, they have pressure in regards to vision. The Lee Sin is there, but Leomark is gonna get caught out.
It is going to be a catch, but remember what they did last time. They turned it around. Remember, Kiyuki is the carry here. You are hoping to pick up that kill, but you don't get it. Ethos, though, gets flashed off of, and Leomar gets the stun. The turnaround is phenomenal as no assist goes Yuzuki's way. It's another kill for the bot side as this Senna Seraphine bot lane is running circles around Mizzou.
Yeah, they're turning this into a circus, should you say. And in the top lane, Arrogant trying to get some damage on Ego, pop out their ultimate. They really get them down, but it's a Garen. He's gonna heal up. It's fine. Definitely in the bot lane, the highlight has been the communication between Cleary's teammates. Yuzuki was there, even though he wasn't even needed. Leomark and Kiyuki executing those two champions together super well, getting the damage out, getting those flashes as well to try to escape. But Ego might be in a bad place to escape this time.
Oh, this is beautiful job here. Arrogant played that so well. Made sure to wait for Ethos to show up, and this is the power that you're wanting to have over Ego. You needed that kill threat. I was worried that the slicing Maelstrom was burned too early, but Arrogant was already calling the support, so well done. Ego had no chance, and now it's a huge wave crashing in, and now they're trying to get something on the other side. So Kiyuki and Yuzuki are saying, okay, we gotta get something. We can't let this top lane crash too hard. It's gonna happen whether they like it or not.
One thing to point out is that both Mizzou and Cleary had their supports roaming to the top lane, so that allowed Yuzuki to get that pressure in the bottom. They're gonna get a stun on Fuzzy Owl, maybe a snare as well, as they do. Leomark can't deal that much damage this far, but Fuzzy Owl dropping down. They have to use that potions, but they have a refillable, they have biscuits, so they're gonna be fine.
You're gonna be happy, but that's another stun coming out. Pain Shell has been not having the best time outside of that kill. You want to get more as a Syndra. Oh, but that's going to be a good route. There's going to be a chance. It's going to be a little bit of float out. Can't get the secondary route behind it. But Gate so far has been bullied out of this bot lane. The fasting Senna has been working wonders, and Kiyuki currently has about a 20 CS lead. So in all locations, the lanes have been kind of back and forth, and I love it. I really do like this, as Cleary only have a 1k lead at this current moment.
Yeah, they're trying to get that aggression that they had before. Nice. The Blast Cone is going to get Ego away. So many people from Mizzou gathering around this Herald, but so is Yuzuki and Pain Shell. Bottom lane though, these two champions are taking all the plating for themselves. The Senna is stacking galore, and with the armor boots, it's going to be very nice for them to try to escape. Should Gate 7 try to deal some damage on them, to be fair, if you get targeted by the turret, the boots are not going to help you anyway.
Nope. That will not do anything. Towers are very rude in this game, and I love it. So, Ego on the top side right now, getting some help from Yuzuki, and just the pressure game, right? You always kind of keep an eyes on here, but look at this. Again, I did say this earlier in game number 1. Mizzou had also identified topside as like that one lane that they could try and do something. This time they're actually acting on it, right? Dropping that Rich Herald in, Ethos around the corner, huge wave stacked up. And they're just trying to get a little bit more information. Not looking for that kill specifically, but they stay around for those plates because they know Gate's having some trouble here. A little bit of a jump in, but that's going to be a flash and cleanse from Gate coming out. Burns the flash out of Kiyuki. and you stay alive. Again, keep in mind for Mizzou, that's all you're trying to do on the bot side. Just stay alive.
Definitely, Optal, and Gate 7 managed to do so, had to burn 2 of their summoner spells. If they had a little bit of mana, maybe it was going to be possible for them to kite out Kyuki, but top lane is collapsing on Ego again.
It's a tale as old as time. The Dyrus treatment here. It feels great. It feels great for them. Poor Dyrus on there. But Ego knows that their job is not to win the lane. It's to just try and stay alive for a time, right? You didn't pick this to win the early game. We all knew that. You picked this to run rampant in the mid to late, to be that stupid assassination Garen that is allowed to be built. What Mizzou have done is amplified that situation. They've done very, very right in saying, okay, that is the lane that we're going to power through. 100 CS on Arrogant, and now a chance on the bot side, though, for Cleary to make it up. Again, this is their strong point.
And it's working so well. Once again, Cleary showing that they know how to communicate, they know how to rotate throughout the map, and they can have the presence whenever and wherever they want. They had that going with the supports going the top lane, helping there in the mid lane as well, even though nothing came to fruition, but still showing that they know where to go. On the other side, Mizzou following around as well. They are countering those ganks, they are countering those attacks. Even though bot lane might be behind, the pressure they posed on the top lane with the Herald was incredible and so necessary for them to catch up.
Oh. This damage in the mid lane, though, Paying Shell has been utilizing this 1 kill and assist to the max potential right now. Has been so strong and consistently being an annoying pain. In this bot lane, though, Leomark has to run away. Oh, so nice. Again, just out of range, I believe, of getting hit there. So, of course, 4 gate helps a lot. Helps
the amount of souls that drop is insane. You get the Q from Seraphine, and it's just souls galore.
Oh. They're going again, though. Ethos said, hey, this is our chance, and there you go. But that's a great encore. The encore sets them up. Sometimes you got to have the encore first, and the bot lane is annihilated once again. They don't get first tower. First brick goes away of Arrogant, but it was enough. You got the kills, and once again, Kyuki and Leomark are poised to be the playmakers of this game.
That was such a beautiful encore, as you said, Orbital. Very satisfying to watch, and nailing that angle. Chef's kiss. Amazing job, Kyuki and Leomark, as you said, executing things super well in the bot lane. Help from Yuzuki, as always, as we have seen, has been all over the bot lane as well. So that's going to help, but Pain Shell is going to get engaged. It's going to be Cyclone going into them. Fuzzy Owl, almost gets knocked out. Very close, but they still stand a chance. It would have been a nice 1-for-1.
Would have been a very nice 1-for-1. You'll just have to settle with the fact that you almost got the kill. That's all you're happy about. Right now, though, it is Ego sending a little bit of a greeting saying, I'm done with this top lane. I just can't deal with it because my bot lane has moved up. I now get free roam. Mid and bot will be my homes for the foreseeable future, or until I feel strong enough to deal with any solo laners that come my way.
Mizzou trying to get things under their control. They're not far behind in regards to CS or gold, so things are still standing nicely. Aside from the bot lane, we got to talk about them every single time. It's double the CS for Kyuki, and it's going to feel very bad for Jinx to be this far behind. You're going to try to defend this tower, but Kyuki and Leomark have means to escape, but Arrogant is flanking. They might be able to reach them.
And I like how Mizzou are just trying to play off of the back of this strong champion, but look at that. The turnaround damage is actually fairly good. Leomark is living way longer than expected, and it's still traded out 1-for-1. So instead of Mizzou getting away with just 1 kill and not dying anywhere else, they lose their mid laner instead. It's actually quite scary. Look at the HP bars. This is quite dangerous for Ethos and Arrogant. They have no ultis, and that's the stun once again. Prodigium using that clone to great effectiveness, but they've lost the topside initiative.
They definitely have, and Cleary said, we are going to take this turret whether you like it or not. But Mizzou was so nice in regards to their strategy in going for Leomark and Kyuki. They got that 1 kill, very important for them. You have a center with at that point. 1-0-7, a perfect ADA. But what is not a perfect ADA is this 1v1 Prodigium gets the kill.
I kind of saw that one coming, and I mean, Yuzuki tried their best, but of all the champions that are currently strong on the side of Mizzou, one of those, if not the main one, is Prodigium, so you just don't want to take that fight. You just don't want to deal with it. Both junglers also still fighting to clear the rest of their camps. 14 stacks on Yuzuki, who, even in this game, is still looking more towards that gank pattern and has provided so much influence for Prodigium at 7. So these next objectives are still being fought over with 900 smites on them, so that'll be interesting to see. Second dragon, though, coming up here. And it is going to be Hextech of the 2 dragons that could be the first ones. It's so nice to see that if Clear are able to pick it up, not only do they get a buff to AD and AP, they get a buff to attack speed and ability haste.
That would be so important for them. They already have the Infernal Drake, so Cleary stacking up on that damage would be essential, especially having enchanters like the Syndra, like Hyuki, and they're going to try to get something set up here for this next Drake. Ego positioning very forward. We'll see if Yuzuki gets some priority in the pass.
Scuttle goes down to Yuzuki, so that's huge, but now they chase in. Ethos, I don't think was ready, though. That's a huge stun on the backside, and a crescendo across all. I take that back. That's an encore, not a crescendo. I know that champion, but it's huge. It disengages the entire fight. Mizzou can't do anything, and they're left with nothing. Ethos tried to start it off, and instead they're left with crumbs.
We know that Seraphine is Sona 2.0, but you don't have to bully her like that. Come on, Orbital. Oh, amazing. Again, Cleary showing that they can get amazing team fights with a setup for that composition. They get the presence in the mid lane. They take down the tower. They take down the... Okay. Actually, I was a little worried about that super mega death rocket. I thought it might steal. Caught on my breath there, but they guarantee the second Drake of the game. And we're having a Cloud Soul for the rest of the match.
And honestly, that bodes really well for Cleary. They're the ones that are closest to getting this kind of speed up and move around. Their entire gameplay and their style has revolved around getting behind the opponent, being able to prep at a little bit faster pace, drawing the opponent into their own pacing, and watching as the opponent struggles. So Cleary, if they're able to get this dragon, if they're able to get extra move speed, they're going to be flying. We're going to see Yuzuki consistently in their face. We're going to see Leomark and Kyuki be outrunning a lot of those hooks. We're going to see the Garen, of all people, chasing into the back line. I know that's a 1-2 Garen, but they can still do work, right? You see a lot of Garens, they don't actually need a whole lot of damage items. They just go straight into tank from here on out.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah, I expect Cleary to be a problem unless something like this happens.
Unless something like this happens, Arrogant going into the backline, gets
No!
the stun, gets the knockdown, and
No!
the shutdown on the Seraphine. Yuzuki has to, very close there, gets the dodge with the, super mega death rocket, finishes off that Senna. It was close. They managed to get something out of it. Mizu finally coming out on top.
It took a while and they expended a lot, but as you said, they do. They come out with 2 kills. They come down with a shutdown as well on Kyuki, and they get the Herald. Of all the things, remember, the issue that they've always had is they get the kills, but they don't get any objectives behind it. So this time around, they get the kills, they get the Herald. Now they have a chance to push down one of the lanes. I would honestly just drop it in the mid lane, just try and crack that open as much as possible. But needless to say, there has been some work done on the other side. Ego is about 1 major push away from taking the inhibitor tower and the inhibitor. So they do have to be a little bit careful about that.
And he is a very fast boy with Ghost, with the potential of running that Garen has himself. So especially with that rune, so he's got all the ability under his power to be able to take down this push. Very close, as you said, just 1 wave away, and they're gonna keep that pressure there. Maybe they get something going on the other side of the map, some pressure to divert the attention from Mizu. But Cleary really playing around, having the split pusher in the hands of Ego, and it's working out pretty well so far. While Mizu still has to try to knock down one of those 2 remaining T1s that have objective bounties to their name.
Really is that rough play, but Kyuki knew something was up, but you still can't stop the pain. A beautiful find once again, and this is exactly what Mizzou have to do. They have to continue to find these picks. They need to continue to find those opportunities. And once again, Cleary out without their bot lane. Baron up in just a few seconds. So it actually is a little bit of a scary tactic. Gate having to burn the cleanse though. Very nice by Paint Shell to draw that summoner spell out.
Yeah, very nicely done. Now the ADC from Mizzou that does not have any of that summoner spells. As you mentioned, Orbital might as well drop that Herald in the mid lane. Try to take this brick down as soon as possible. It's 3v5. You gotta be a little careful with what you decide to do on that one. Oh Lord!
Multi-stun out and the kill. That's Ego going in for the assassination. Ethos now running for the life of Izuki, getting a good punt off, but in comes the slicing maelstrom. They overstayed their welcome. Ego now running for the hills. You burned all the summoner spells and it looked like you got the kills, but Mizzou were able to fight right back. So that's a huge win for the side of Mizzou. But remember, how much are they going to lose? Oh no, Fuzzy, you don't actually want to be here. Look at the Cyclone, look at the moves, look at the dance. Ego now getting chased out. But the rest of the team is coming. Can Ego stay alive? Can Ego run away? No, you can't. That is Arrogant once again at 4-0-3, staying alive and doing the damage.
To be fair, Orbital, I gotta say, Cleary defended that middle turret. Mizzou did not get the objective bounty. They traded out a couple of kills. They were able to even get something out of a 3v5, but Mizzou, as you said, they needed to be aggressive. It worked out for them. It was a good pick. It was a good push. But so far, they're still trying to get that pressure in those objective bounties to try to be a little bit ahead in regards to gold, just slightly under 1k gold behind. And as soon as this Jinx finishes off her second item, Infinity Edge on her hands is going to be destruction.
Destruction is what we want, what we crave, what we need, as Dragon is coming up in 5 seconds for the first time. Mizzou are actually the ones in control of that pit. You can take a look at all the wards that are currently down. They have full vision control. So it's Cleary moving in a 4v5. And this I can appreciate. Well, I did say 4v5, but they say not today. We are going to TP in. I was wondering if they're actually going to try and split push with Seraphine and at least get someone pushing on the other side, because this is going to be difficult. Once again, they have to walk into Arrogant, who is very, very scary. Dragon taking quite low. It's getting dropped down to about 2k, so it's not a worry about whether you get it or not. It's about what can you get afterwards. Dragon taking Prodigium, looking for the back line, and the Scout of the Weak forces them all the way. Charm lands across the backside, but Arrogant is still going to get the Slicing Maelstrom on 3! Look at the brutal damage. They get the kills. And they get the finisher. With this, though, it's only a 1-for-1. Yuzuki was able to stay alive. Another Scout of the Week catches all 4, but there's no damage to follow up. You can't keep going. You wish you could, but the stones do so much work, and now that's a reset. The follow-up is big, but the assassination, the execution from Pain Shell makes it a win. Mizzou overstepped just ever so slightly, and now Fuzzy has to run for their life.
Oh, that was so close. It looked like it was Mizzou all the way. When I saw Lee Sin going in on that ward, I was like, that's going to be doomed, mate. And they ended up falling. But Cleary, all of a sudden, just took that fight around. And with the ultimate from Pain Shell getting that execute, perfect shutdown on the Jinx, because when she gets excited, it's hard to try to stop her. So as soon as she got excited, she got the kill on Lee Sin. They shut her down. Very well done by Cleary. And Mizzou once again doing a nice team fight. As you said, they had all control over the pit, all control over the bottom river, and they got a position that gave them the high ground. Worked out pretty well for most of the fight, up until, as you said, they stepped a little bit out of line and Cleary punished them for it.
So taking a look, the next objective that they're playing for now is that Baron. This is going to be a big challenge for Mizzou. If they're able to win this one, they have a chance fighting back, and a main thing to think about is, are they going to get the kills on Gate? Gate only has 2 kills. They actually aren't as strong as you would hope, and it's difficult to fight against the likes of Leomark, who on their own went ahead and built up that Aegis, I believe. It's so strong, it gives extra shielding, so you're not going to be able to burst as hard as you think. That's why we can see the channel coming in here from Fuzzy Owl, who on their own right is hoping to have that Saracen race completed, get that second item into your bank. That's not going to happen. Again, you're just going back for a little bit of extra healing, getting ready for that bottom wave. Cleary want to take this Baron, though. They want to try and push and get that momentum back in their favor.
They really do. Mizu, unfortunately, trying to get ahead in regards to items. They're still falling behind in CS. They're gonna use a full-on encore on Arrogant. They know how this player has been crucial for Mizu's success in those team fights. So very nicely done there. I think it's a good decision in a shutdown. Ego might be caught up. No, not Ego. Pain Shell. Even worse, a big shutdown for the Jinx might be the one thing that to get her onto that Infinity Edge and finally dealing as much damage as they can on the team fights.
I mean, they got the kill, great, but remember, without anything else behind it, a kill is just a kill. Tower goes the way of Cleary. Mid lane should fall as well, but I feel opening up that top side a little bit more now means Ego has so much more room to play. Only one outer tower really remains now, or one inner tower, I should say. 16-16, though, a much closer game than game number 1. Cleary not having such an amazing game this time around. But only time will tell, right? Baron not taken, still plenty to work with, and still plenty of time to stack up, scale up, and become monsters.
I agree. And the one thing to think about now, was it worth it? It was a shutdown to the ADC, so definitely well deserved for Mizu. Now they have a Jinx with that Infinity Edge, completed 2 items there, still very behind on CS compared to Kiyuki, but it's going to be 1 point to get Jinx in a good spot. Instead, the other side of the map, Cleary took down a turret, as you said. Is it good? Jinx got 1 kill. What did it come down to? It was a shutdown and a turret getting dropped down in the mid lane for Cleary too. So at the end of the day, it was 1 tier 1 for a tier 2 and 1 kill for another kill. So a little bit even around the board, but Cleary having the advantage because it was a tier 2 to that name.
With all that talk about what has happened, we are now looking forward as this Baron should be taken quite nicely, but they are giving advantage over to Cleary on the side of the Dragon. That is the trade-off. They want to power this one down. It's a great take. Mizu able to get the Baron on 5, but they have to quickly recollect themselves. Looking towards that mid, Cleary are going to try and push as quickly as they can, and they will get this tower. But where do things go next? Take a look at the rest of the map. The entirety of the spot side is warded out, and Cleary are saying, you're not going to chance it. We have control over whether we want to float from mid to bot. And it's going to be powerful, but Fuzzy, oh, Fuzzy, that is so dangerous. You're not rooted, you're not stunned. Your own ulti sealed the deal. It is death for Fuzzy Owl. Couldn't get any damage off. Now into the Sonya's. Pain Shell goes, who heals up immensely, slicing Maelstrom in the backside, though. It is going to be massive. You do get the damage, but not enough. Again, the rest of Clear is running for the hills. Gate in the back line, though, can't cut through Ego. It is destruction, and it's triple kill for Ego. Make it a quadra. Do you get the penta? No, it's stolen. Leoberg steals the penta as it's an ace for Cleary University.
Oh, cannot believe it. We didn't have a Penta on Naystar League today, but we are most likely having a sweep. There is no timer that's going to spawn fast enough on this one. 5 seconds to go. It would only be a 1v4, and Cleary takes their win on week 2 of Naystar League League of Legends.
I can't believe it. There has to be a report times 9 against Leomark right now. That was rude. Ego worked so hard. We wanted to see the Ego come out. We did not get it, but it was still a phenomenal win. Again, Mizu played it much better. We talked about it. We said we want to see them adapt, and they did. Arrogant got ahead. The Blitzcrank was doing a little bit of work. It just faltered towards the end. Cleary had just better team fights out there.
They super did. Every single time that we thought that Mizu might have been ahead in those team fights, we had the cannon ulti hitting 3-4 players at the same time, but they couldn't finish them off. They didn't have enough damage to do so. That last fight was very close to them. It could have been a nice turnaround, maybe a potential comeback, but you had the Zhonya's on the hand of Pain Shell, and that little split second that kept them alive was enough to guarantee that you're still going to have your mid laner, you're still going to have your APC alongside Ego. Just now we know Ego beats Arrogance, and this time it's not going to be any place for that team to try to compete. Cleary was just too well organized.
I loved it. Every single moment was great. And of course, with that win, Mizzou now moved to 2-1. Eyes are open for the rest of the season, so big questions abound. How are they doing it? We'll have an interview with one of the Mizzou players here in just a little bit to get a little bit of insight into the game plan and how the rest of the season is looking out for them. So please do not go anywhere. Nay Star League of Legends will be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back, ready to go with an interview with one of the players of this Cleary roster, and I think we're getting Kiyuki, the support player, coming in here, and also the coach. Kiyuki, how you doing here today after that phenomenal win you guys just laid down?
We're doing all right. I think we definitely did not play as clean as we'd like to, but you know, we've been doing a lot of different things that we've been testing out. Obviously, I'm not on the main roster, so that adds a couple bumps, but overall, we're content, I would say.
Yeah, I'm very glad to hear that, Kiyuki. I think it was super nice to see the compositions that you guys got going on in the bot lane, so it's nice to ask about that because you were playing as the support player there. So what were the ideas behind the compositions? Were you guys going with something that was already pre-made before, or did you really adapt to the draft going forward?
I would say that we have like a handful of things that we've been testing out a lot recently, and we just pulled one of those things out. So I guess both the games are a little bit different, so you could say we pulled two things out, but we weren't really adapting too much to the draft. I mean, obviously we're not trying to counterpick ourselves or anything, but for the most part we expected what the draft how it played out. So
yeah, that's super valid. I think that one thing that we mentioned during the cast was how aggressive your team was going for in regards to gameplay for the two matches, especially the first one. You guys had the presence from your jungler all throughout it. We know that Lee Sin is that powerhouse at the beginning of the game. So you said that it wasn't that clean, but definitely the first game was much better in regards to how aggressive and how oppressive you could deliver that gameplay. So what was the difference between both matchups in your opinion?
Between the two games?
Yeah.
I would say the first game honestly felt less clean than the second. We were like on different pages for a couple plays in the first game, so some things like didn't look as good as they probably could have. And then the second game, I would say where we were more on the same page, but there was a couple hiccups where like there was just some miscommunication, so we got caught a couple times. But otherwise, like we're getting closer to being on the same page.
Oh, that's awesome. Because to be fair, one thing that Orbital and I we said during the game was how it felt like you guys were communicating super well, because some of those plays felt very cohesive. One thing that Orbital said was your team composition for the second game seemed very fluid as well. So congratulations, because it didn't transpire that you guys were having hiccups. It didn't transpire that you guys were not on the same page. So congratulations once again for your sweep. And thank you for that interview.
Thank you.
Yeah. Before we, oh, okay. I guess we are done here. It's all good. So again, thank you so much to Kiyuki for giving us that awesome interview and getting a good insight in there. So we are going to go ahead and head over to Super Smash Brothers. There's going to be a little bit of a different game there. I love it though. We're going to have Biscuit and Woodchuck Man, I believe, getting ready for some of that stuff on the match with Widener University and Lebanon Valley College. So make sure to stay tuned for that one. We are going to say goodbye though. I have been Orbital. With me has been Soph-Chan, and we thank you so much for tuning in.
And welcome back to NACE Star League. Now we move on to Smash Bros. I'm Jem, joined by Nurse, and we have quite a deciding match for us tonight. This isn't just like any regular season match, is it, Nurse?
No, the stakes are as high as they've ever been on the stream this season, with two teams coming in with a 5-2 record apiece, both trying to make that playoff bid. If you guys aren't really familiar with the format here, both of these teams came in with a 5-2 record in the regular season, which put them both at that tied for that second and third placing spot. Unfortunately, only the top two teams make it into playoffs, so this is the deciding match for that playoff spot. And we'll see on the side of Lebanon Valley, Doink, Manta, T-Stew14, and Woodchuck Man. While Widener, we got Bold, Geister, Biscuit, Bunkus, and Aiden D. I'm excited to see these guys play again. We did see them earlier in the season, and in fact, both times that I saw these guys play, they both took dubs, so they're not used to losing on stream at the very, very least.
I can only hope that they live up to their gamer tags. Like, Woodchuck Man, you have the word Chuck right in your name, choose Bowser and just throw people off the stage willy-nilly. I just want to see thematic consistency. I don't know about you.
I mean, you can't ask for anything more, and I think when you get this deep in the season, especially because, we're getting confirmed now that this is the East Conference play-in, you have to hope for close matches. Going 5-2 on the season is a very, very good record for both of these teams. It means they hardly face defeat at all, and so you have to imagine that both these teams are hungry for that playoff spot, and both of them want to put on a show.
Well, and it all depends on just, how much of a streak each player can get. If we're going to be seeing one player hanging on with one stock, just ticking off one player each at a time, it can almost be just sort of a helpless feeling when it's like, they have one stock, why can't I just get rid of them?
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot throughout the season, how taking two stocks or having a two-stock lead is where the advantages actually start in the crew battle format. Just having that one-stock lead allows people to equalize really easily if the next player is able to take that final stock without losing one. That being said, once you get to these two-stock leads, we tend to see either team snowball into what is like a 5 to 6 stock victory, or just see that kind of two-stock lead kind of maintain itself throughout the crew battle into just the anchor position player needing to make a 5 or 4 stock comeback and not being able to do it. So it's interesting to see how those kind of little leads can just disappear, and how even something then also as small as the 2-stock lead can persist throughout the crew battle.
And of course, it can always be those little decisions that just kind of snowball, especially, if you get a character that just loves just hang out in mid and just edge camp. And, if you get a player with long range, I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, Min. I mean, it's those initial mistakes at the beginning where if you lose your positioning, that's where things can really get out of control.
Yeah, and I think, something that we've seen a lot of all season is we've seen a lot of teams having at least one of those characters in the mix. We've seen a ton of Pac-Man, we've seen a couple Wii Fit trainers, other characters like that. And so most teams seem to have a zoner in the mix at the very least somewhere, just to kind of break up that pace. It's just a matter of when you kind of deploy that person, because that's when the matchups happen, right? And luckily for this format, it is a best of 3. So if something doesn't completely go your way in the first place, there's still a chance for you to come back and make it happen at the end of the day.
Well, and it's for a big cause. One of these teams gets to go home with their head held high, moving on to the playoffs. The other team just gets to go home, because this is going to be the end of the regular season. Widener Valley having a whole lot to prove versus LVC. Ranked 2 and 3. I don't know if you could get any closer than these two teams are. We're going to start out with DDD and Rob.
And I mean, if you want to talk matchups, you want to talk good and bad just based on what we're seeing on the screen, Rob absolutely destroys DDD. I mean, it's not even a little close. And so I think as far as the matchup spread is concerned, LVC is pretty happy with the pull. That being said, something that we've seen all season is these low-tier players be able to come out and surprise us with either just weird tactics or matchup infamiliarity that allows them to succeed.
Ooh, unfortunately for Bunkus, he's going to get caught off the side. Trying to recover with the up B. He's gonna find some more positioning. I was gonna say, you said Rob absolutely destroys DDD, but someone obviously hasn't told Bunkus yet. He is keeping fairly even, although of course as I say that, he goes past 100.
I mean, it's the Rob classic. You miss a tech and down tilt neutral B is taking you to about 100%. And luckily for Bunkus, DDD is on the heavier side of things, so not too much at threat of death unless a big hit comes through, but it can be so hard as DDD to find anything significant, especially against a character as safe as Rob. That being said, a second lease on life there, and now the ledge trap gets to come into play.
This is exactly what I like about playing about heavy characters like DDD or Bowser, because I'm getting hit all over the place. I always like having that 2-to-1 ratio, kind of in terms of percentages. Oh, you got to 100, great, you're halfway, keep going.
Yeah, it's a big thing, especially when a lot of the time you would have considered that Manta had a lead. You would have considered that was a good spot, but Smash is not a game of percents. It is a game of stocks, and Bunkus was able to hold on to that one still, but the Gordo reflect from the gyro. A heads-up play from Manta means it's back at even.
Just a bit of fighting in midfield as more and more damage is placed onto Bunkus. And one of the things he really has been having a hard time is recovering for aerials. Oftentimes he's been facing the wrong way in conjunction to LVC.
Yeah, it can be so tough to get down from the air as DDD. You have multiple jumps, but your airspeed is slow and you don't really go anywhere on each jump. So, the onus is on Bunkus to make these plays happen. And honestly, he's taking that 0 to 80, but he's kind of taking it on the chin. He's like, DDD kind of just eats that sometimes. You kind of expect it, and he's getting back into neutral, and he's getting the hits where it mattered.
They try to recover shield. A hit from LVC slams him down. Is going to take him up to 100. Bunkus still hanging in there. At this point, with the way we were setting this up in a smash like that, if you're trading 1 for 1, you got to be feeling pretty good with Bunkus.
You're feeling very, very good. And honestly, at 160, that means he lived to about 150% plus both of these stocks. That is incredible value. And at this point, it's really Manta that needs to be finding opportunities to take these stocks earlier. You cannot be allowing DDD this many opportunities to take you out of the game. And Rob certainly has the tools to do it.
Oh, the deflects have been insane. Slams him down past 100, throws him out, shields, and a lot of fighting in neutral. Manta might have an opening against Bunkus. Is going to get him up towards 50, looking to win this and move on to the next player.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, 60 to 80% that DDD just kind of takes on the chin. The only difference is this time Bunkus has 116% on the side of Manta, and so it's finally Manta for the first time this series having to put something together. The trap between the gyro and the F smash doesn't quite kill, but Bunkus is putting on the pressure right now. A back air by the ledge will do it, and Manta just fights his way out. Going high.
It's been a delicate dance between these two players. And the final smash is going to be heading on to Bunkus. Manta wins that, but just barely with 1 stock.
That is by the absolute skin of his teeth. And we saw that he was actually looking for that up smash multiple times throughout that game, managing to just find it on the misspace back air right at the end. You're breathing a sigh of relief if you're Manta, but from a purely matchup perspective, that should have gone better.
I gotta say, it's kind of interesting being between those two characters because you've got so much potential deflection that can happen off the projectiles. You know, those gyro, any move that you take, you've always got to be quick on that shield because it could be coming right back at you.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting, kind of interplay between both of those characters. Like you mentioned, the gyro will send back the Gordo, the laser will send back the Gordo, and so that means DDD can't really rely on it as much in neutral as he would in a different matchup. But I think Bunkus did a really good job of showing how to play around that with those kind of selectively aggressive plays. I was pretty impressed.
And we were also just impressed with how much, DDD was able to hang in there. There were 2 times when we thought for sure he was being smashed. I mean, the game gives us the visual animation. We're already moving on, and he's like, no, I'm still staying in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to argue. It's very hard to argue with two 150% plus stocks. And we said it going into that last one. It's on Manta to find something earlier. And thankfully for him and the side of LVC, he was able to find kind of that last hit before 150%, because if it had gone that high once again, I don't know if he's coming out on top.
Well, the next player is going to be rotating in, and we'll see if this can be a full reset. I mean, basically, if you just kind of want to end this quick against Rob, who are you choosing? You know, we're going to give you the coach's hat right now and say, who you throwing in there?
It's so tough, right? Because Rob, being as good as he is a hard character to counterpick. There's very few characters in the game that just do straight up well against Rob. A couple would be characters like Mario, Falco, Bayonetta, characters that we haven't seen a lot throughout the season as far as teams actually running. So I would be surprised if Widener actually had one of those characters to bust out. I think the biggest thing is sending in someone who's confident in the matchup. Because Rob is so good, it translates into him being the second most common character in the game. Just across everything, yeah.
That's something that can be common just, you know, across esports in general. Is sometimes you can get so focused into the meta, you know, you're trying to micromanage anything. Well, is this move good against this move? And sometimes all it takes is just a really strong comfort pick for one of your players who just says, you know, hey, this is my main. I've got it. I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
And despite what you would think in the matchup, they pull away with it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing in Smash 2 in particular, where players who are comfortable with matchups kind of defy the expectations, especially in a game like Ultimate, where matchups aren't kind of as cut and dry as maybe something like Melee or something like that, where the matchups have been grinded for so long and people just really have found this counterplay. Characters like Rob have solid matchups, but there's a ton of mid-tier characters in this game that are viable and can pull wins out of a hat, especially when you only need to take one stock off. So we're seeing Bold coming in with the Robin, definitely a matchup that Rob would win, but Robin has a lot of kill power. Robin has a couple of gimmicks, and honestly here, only one gimmick is what you need to put this back to an even playing field. So I actually don't mind the pick, Adam Widener.
All right, we're going to get the stock resets from Manta. And off we go to the races. Still pretty even in terms of stocks, but Manta has the slight lead for LVC.
And this is where, you know, those small leads can turn into a big one. We were talking about how this one stock lead doesn't really matter because it's a chance for Bold to even it right back up. That being said, if that doesn't happen, it means that LVC is able to put on a lead a little bit more and a little bit more as the set progresses. So this needs to go the way of Bold, and that side B is so huge, but Manta double dips on the back air and misses. That could have been the stock, but Bold lives another day.
Just barely hanging in there. Now a whole lot of battling to try to get that combo. Manta is going to find himself in a bit of trouble, pushed off to the side. I don't know about you, but, you know, with how exciting this music just really isn't doing for me. These MIDI horns aren't capturing the full magnitude of this fight, which is to get into playoffs.
Yeah, you mean WarioWare's not doing it for you at this point in time?
Hey, I love WarioWare, but, you know,
wow.
If it, you know, it's not Mona Pizza. I'll just say that.
And as we talked about the thematics of that match, Bold actually puts on a really impressive display at the ledge. Stuck there for about 30 seconds against Rob, was able to force a jump out using the arc fire and punishes fully with the Thoron. It's pretty textbook. And like I said, you know, a matchup that generally wouldn't be considered Robin favored, but you only need one stock, and all it takes is one gimmick or one thing that they haven't seen before to take that stock off pretty early, and Bold was able to do just that.
It's just like, you know, since I'm from Boise State, it's like our head coach Doc Haskell says when we're playing other games as well. You know, if it's Rocket League, it's just one clear. If it's Overwatch, it's getting that one pick in the team fight. And here it's just trying to open up that combo and you go from there.
Yeah, I think the more you get into esports, and I think it speaks to what you were saying, the more you realize how much as you get better that games are won off of small interactions and small openings. We saw right there, Bold is in the corner for 30 seconds. There's a gyro. There's 2 back airs. There's a down air off stage. There's a back air off stage as well. All of those things would have killed. All of those things would have led to a stock lead in this situation for LVC. But instead, calm, cool, collected, he's able to secure that one, puts us back to even. That could have been the game decider. Obviously, we won't know because we can't see every possible, scenario. But if this is close, if this goes down to last stock, you can't help but wonder, what if that went LVC's way?
And that's one of the things that we sort of have kind of benefit of hindsight or foresight here being casters is like, we see the score. We see it starts out 12-12 and then we count down from there. But for these players, you got to have the mentality, it's always just you're playing in the current fight, As far as you're concerned, it's always 1-1.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. You don't want to kind of put the chicken before the eggs as far as making sure that you come out on top of things, because if you start thinking about who's next, you're going to stop worrying about the guy that's in front of you right now.
And currently, speaking about who's in front of you, we've got TST moving in for LVC Blue. Already has a couple of good shots against Bold. We'll see which team opens up a lead, if we can maybe get some sort of breakaway here, or if it will remain, as you said, down to that final stock.
Yeah, this is another solid matchup on the side of LVC Blue. Falco has that frame 1 reflector, which means that a lot of these projectiles coming out of Robin are going to be kind of nullified. It comes down to how Bold is going to make this happen, and unfortunately a connection error on the side of one of these players means we won't know just yet. But
listen, I'm a Splatoon player. I've been there many a times before. I mean, we all know
it gets worse.
Yeah,
it gets worse. Not always your fault. The Nintendo father above didn't exactly grace us with the nicest of servers. So I'm sure we're getting that sorted out right now. But going back to that, Robin versus Falco matchup, I was talking about it. That frame run reflector on the side of Falco means that a projectile heavy character like Robin is going to struggle a little bit in those neutral spaces, especially because not only can he reflect, but also laser is able to interrupt some of those actions. The big difference maker, though, is the kill power on the side of Robin. Forward air, back air, up smash, even down smash at the ledge to 2-frame Falco side B are all really good options for taking stocks very, very early. And so it's a matter of if T-Stu can maintain the momentum that he has in that character advantage and convert it into stocks, or if we're going to see another thing like we saw on the last game with DD, living for longer than he should and taking stocks very, very early. I think there's potential that the same thing happens.
Well, it is that, sort of deadliness that we saw in Robin that evened up this game so far before we had that little hiccup. So if everything still goes, man, it's also got to feel bad. I'm going to be moving back a lot to thematically here because, it's a game like Smash. I just can't help it, just having so much video. I can only say, it must really hurt trying to master your craft and all your abilities, only to be negated by a shiny hexagon time and time again.
I mean, it's a tale as old as time.
It's always those hexagons.
It truly is. They hit a little bit different in every single game.
I took all my courses in Magic, but I needed to study geometry.
Every time you just hear the blip, it's just like a PTSD moment. You just start seeing red. Yeah, I mean, a far cry from what it is in Melee. It's still a very strong reflector, especially now that Falco actually kicks it in these games. So we're getting back into the swing of things. T-Stu and Bold gonna run it back. There wasn't, a super clear leader in that situation, so I have no problem with running it back here. We're gonna see Town and City, which is good for kills off the side, not the top. Both these players ready to roll once again.
Already, Bold opening things up with a few slide shots against T-Stu. T-Stu's evening it up, however.
Yeah, something we're going to see, aside from the reflectors, that really strong combo game coming out of Falco. Up tilt and up throw both lead into huge combos for Falco. So we're going to have to see how much T-Stu is going to be able to get off of every single hit. And then he's going to be looking for up tilt into back air for, that kill confirm. Nearing probably on Robin, I would have to say about 90% by the ledge and probably 110 or 120 nearing the middle of the stage.
well, we're really barreling in on that 110 mark as far as Bold is concerned. There goes the reflector out. Isn't going to catch anything too substantial there. A whole lot of shielding as both these players showing each other some proper respect.
They really, really are.
Oh, there it is! I tell you, every time I hand it off.
Absolutely, every time you hand it off, and we're not even going to see the kill confirm come out there. Just a couple of back airs, well spaced, and Bold ends up dropping the shield for T-Stu. Only 62% to T-Stu's name now. Bold has been unable to really get anything going other than the occasional counter hit. Now back at the ledge. T-Stu's more than willing to play this long-range game with Bold.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking. We're talking about how little things can add up. It's just with this neutral B, it's just 3% here, 4% here. You know, it's just, it could be a game of those numbers that really help, you know, T-Stu to maybe slightly get the advantage to pick up these stocks.
Yeah, I think he's not even so concerned about the little hits. He's just trying to bait Bold into throwing that L Thunder. When that's thrown, he can then, you know, kind of cycle into the reflector, send it back, and that's a lot more damage than simply just a laser. So I think he's trying to make him impatient. He's trying to bait these hits out, but so far, Bold's been doing a good job of choosing when to let them rip. This is huge, though. And no follow-up off the down air there. He could have, you know, come in with a forward air, potentially even a nair for a drag down reset, but instead just goes for a really ambitious F smash that he kind of might live to regret.
But he won't be able to regret it if he's able to take out both of them, trying to recover, and that's the regret coming in there.
Yeah, it's the jab off the side, but Bold, a little bit of sleep at the wheel off that Angel platform. The back air will be able to secure it. Now, a full stock lead on the side of T-Stu. If he's able to take this next stock without losing this one, it's going to be the first real lead that we've seen this series with a 2-stock lead coming in. All right, the jab puts T-Stu off stage, and now these arc fires are coming out, putting on so much pressure. The disjoints from Robin and the projectile pressure at the ledge can make it really, really hard to get off. That being said, the reflector is just that ever-present threat.
He's back, another reflector. Bold is still able to catch him. He's up to 81%. Still trying to recover. He hasn't been able to. All this edge guarding from Bold has really paid off.
Oh.
And he gets the final hit and is going to be able to walk away from that with 2 stocks. I thought for sure it was going to come down to the final stock, and that could be ultimately what decides it for LVC Blue.
You're feeling pretty good about that one, mostly because you came out on top with 2 stocks like we just saw, but also because T-Stu really proved to us that he's not just a percent machine, right? He's able to find those stocks early, all 3 stocks, saying sayonara to a back air at, around 110, 113%, in the last case, 92 after the up throw. Very, very early stocks. And so it's so threatening to know that there's a player on the other side that not only does a lot of damage through their combo game with stuff like up throw, up tilt, up air, but also is able to find those early stocks. That's where it becomes really, really threatening.
And you have to wonder, what does Widener then have in their pocket that they can bring out maybe just a little less projectile base, a little more melee. I'm a simple man. I love physical gameplay with either a Donkey Kong or my Bowser. I'm going to find any excuse to try to bring them into the mix, but I can't always get what I want.
And certainly if there's a Donkey Kong or a Bowser waiting in the wings, I wouldn't necessarily recommend them against Falco. Probably just eats them alive.
I'm saying that I am trying to find any way whatsoever to bring my favorites into that. I don't care about the matchup. We were talking earlier about comfort picks.
Who cares? Yeah, maybe Widener has the most comfortable DK Falco player you've ever seen in your whole life. We can only dream. I imagine if they are to send in like a melee-based character, a faster character, they're probably going to send in, something like a Fox, even maybe something like a Yoshi who has double jump armor to get out of the combos. We've seen a lot of Yoshi throughout the weeks as well. So I think there's a lot of options so far as counterpicking Falco goes. It's just a matter, again, if you have one in the back pocket or not. typically
We'll see what.
typically the heavier characters or the projectile heavy characters are both gonna want to shy away from having to play against Falco.
I know. He's got a big target, but again, it's not about necessarily what's fulfilling best in strategy. It's what's fulfilling best for my soul.
And we're seeing the
Here we
Pac-Man.
go.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about targets. This is basically a perfectly round one to shoot at.
Yeah, he's even got the red tongue right in the center that you can aim for.
But a lot of that zoning that we were talking about a bit earlier.
It is zoning, but it's a little bit different. And what is a little bit different from it is Pac-Man is very, very threatening. Okay, didn't want this stage apparently, or something like that. I think he SD'd too many times. By accident, he didn't remember that he had 2 stocks left. He thought it was the last one.
That's like a true give yourself some more credit.
Yeah, you did better than that. Like we just saw it. But yeah, so Pac-Man is the zoning heavy character, but I think the big difference is Hydrant doesn't start out as a projectile, and it can be pretty hard for Falco to break. So, Pac-Man is going to have a lot of chances to play around that Hydrant, to secure neutral around that Hydrant, and then to kind of pick and choose what projectile is good for the right situation. Stuff like Bell will net you some very, very early kills, and they're kind of tricky to reflect in a way that it actually hits Falco it hits Pac-Man on the way back. So I don't think it's a terrible pick. It's not the best pick you could have hoped for, but as far as zoners go, it's probably the best one.
Immediately, T-Stew is going to start out much like he did last time. We see that Hydrant. There you were talking. The hexagon goes flying in frustration right into it.
You're going to have to hit it a lot of times to break it with just the shine. That being said, we do see the break come out in the end, but Geister trying to put a little more behind this. Pac-Man, despite being a zoner, has a deceptively strong combo game, so you can never count out that Galaga if it does manage to hit, but we've seen some really good reflections so far.
Lunkus throws down yet another Hydrant. I think we're seeing a pattern emerging right now. Geister, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean...
And manages to grab and to throw off the edge. That's not going to be enough to really rattle T-Stew.
No, recovering high, he's going to get hit, but honestly, if you're Falco, you'll take getting hit while recovering high as opposed to being off stage any day of the week. And we see the full charged key is now online for Pac-Man and saves it for a missed tech situation. I think that's probably what you're looking for. If you're Geister, who has really put themselves in a great position to take this stock, a Bell will absolutely do it at this percent, as will a big off-stage play.
In this case, just like it is, in normal Pac-Man, it's just the time it takes to get to that. Not everyone can say they've even seen a Bell, let alone collect one or use one.
And a bit of a greedy grab coming back off the end of that Hydrant allows T-Stew to actually confirm that stock with a down air, back air, and put themselves in another leading situation. If Geister's unable to take more of these stocks a little faster, it's going to be a very tough position for Widener going into their final player. And that will confirm it.
Side smash is going to secure it for Geister. He's trying to recover. Unable to throw out the Galaxian, however.
Oh, and actually drops it.
That really hurts. He's going to be able... You know what? If you're in trouble, just throw down a Hydrant. I think we've all learned the lessons, the important lessons we need to walk away with today.
If you've played against Pac-Man before, you absolutely know the flow chart of try and hit you, throw Hydrant, recharge fruit, try again. That's definitely how it works pretty much across the board, but this stock has been all T-Stew all the time. With already 105% racked up, the up smash. Not going to do it because of the wide stage of Kalos, but you're in a scary spot if you're Geister right now, and you've done almost no damage.
Another Hydrant to try to close the distance against T-Stew. Once he's able to grab him, Geister has been able to get some pretty hefty damage.
Yeah, and T-Stew
now might have to use yet another Hydrant to try to close that distance.
T-Stew actually missed the kill confirm on the up tilt back air, so this stock could have been gone. But unfortunately, a miss means that Geister has another chance at life and is trying to find an opportunity to use this key. And unfortunately, the opportunity he found was right into the loving arms of Shine.
The key to his demise was more like it. And now T-Stew is looking at taking Geister down to his final stock despite all of this damage. still up grabs for either, and there goes that bell you were talking about. It's not going to head out. Instead, T-Stu's just going to move right in, close the distance, go for the combo, and takes Geister up to 67.
And Pac-Man, you know, typically is a pretty close to unedge guardable, so we're not too worried about Geister actually getting back, but what we are worried about is Geister losing this stock to an up tilt back air at the ledge at this percent, because that bell is gone, and T-Stu has been hunting.
Even though that hydrant isn't something you can reflect, T-Stu has been pretty on point with sending that reflect out when he does need it for the projectiles.
Yeah, what he's actually doing is he's using the down tilt to take the damage away from the hydrant so that he can use the shine to actually reflect it back. It's really smart and shows that, you know, T-Stu is pretty ready for this matchup. At the very least, did a little bit of research, and a greedy grab from Geister means that T-Stu will get the third stock and put LVC into a commanding 7 stock to 3 lead. If you're the anchor on Widener right now, you're kind of wide-eyed. What went wrong, man?
A complete wipe. He just basically took on Geister all by himself. So now it's 7-3. And you said, to be fair to you, you said there were either going to be 2 predictions for how this match turned out. We were either going to see it maybe go down to the last stock, or we were going to see one of these moments where a huge lead is opened up by one player.
Yeah, it can be so hard to even guess who that player is going to be. And T-Stu, not guessing, said it's about to be me. About to make the dream happen. Taking 6 stocks already and still has another one on the board. We have seen comebacks this big happen before. We have. But it's rare. It's very, very rare. And what's even rarer is it happening against the person who took 6 stocks from you in the first place. So
Yeah. It's not only that, but you got to choose, you got to have one heck of a pick for your team as well. Because you're going to have to go up against, you know, multiple other players who are going to perfectly now have the opportunity to pick against you as you're moving on.
Yeah, it's a very tough spot to be in. And if you're the side of Widener, the Shulk, we've seen great performances before, and you need to take this stock off T-Stu without losing one. That's where it has to start.
Now this time T-Stu actually can take 2 stocks off. Gave himself a little bit too much credit last time, but even with 1 stock, he's still a huge threat.
Yeah, we saw what he did with 1 stock last game. In fact, all it took was 1 stock loss to take all 3 off of Geister. So we're gonna have to see what the response can be. It needs to be something big. If T-Stu is able to take a stock off here, I mean, this crew battle, at least the first one, is pretty much over.
Slight lead being opened up against T-Stu.
Actually goes unpunished for recovering high. A slight miss on the side of Widener, but the Smash Heart is now online, which means this stock is in danger. I wouldn't recommend that. I would not recommend being into shield mode Shulk. All right, the shield mode is offline, which means, you know, a bit of a sigh of relief for T-Stu. Should be able to live a little bit longer, but honestly, this Shulk has been all over him almost this entire game, and finally, this combo goes so crazy. It has given him the lead in 1 neutral exchange, 1 win.
And that's been pretty par for the course for T-Stu. The speed art's going to be brought out in response by Geister. It's going to be able to, I was going to say not be edge guarded, but almost getting his first stock taken away by T-Stu, who is just, you can't dislodge him at this point.
No, and you're in such a scary spot right now. You're probably out of up tilt back air percent, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. But what you do have to worry about is an up smash, is a back air, but the aggressive play off stage is gonna mean Widener goes up a stock. At least in that game, it's now 3-6, a dream. I've seen dreams come true.
But now there are still 2 players, and I'm sure those 2 players are also just giving T-Stu, a well-earned pat on the back there, because he was almost, had he been able to get even one more stock, he's already traded.
Already 6 deep. Yeah.
I already 6 up, but I was thinking on that final stock in particular, going 4 or 5 to 1, it's just insane. I'll take that value any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, here's how it is. If you go into the next crew battle as well and T-Stu's able to perform that way again, you're feeling pretty good about the win, but cannot count out this Shulk on the side of Widener. We don't know if T-Stu was kind of that X Factor pick or was that guy. Oftentimes teams have one player who is kind of, like I said, that X Factor pick who is expected to go crazy, who is expected to make those big plays. We don't know if that's who it was for LVC, but it seems like, Shulk, I believe that is Bunkus on the side of Widener, seems to be pretty strong in his own right.
Definitely needs to bring it on home against you, and like I said, now the choice gets to be brought out of who's the player that we think can unseat him, who's the pick that you got to go with. The Yoshi is going to be the one who's brought out Doink against Biscuit.
Yeah, Biscuit. Interesting play for sure. I think Yoshi has some good stuff against Shulk. Particularly being able to use the double jump armor to kind of ignore some of the offstage shenanigans. That being said, Shulk does have a sword. Yoshi, I don't know if you noticed, does not. And so getting into Shulk's effective range can be a bit of a challenge. And with no jump here, this should be the stock. Oh, just a miss from Biscuit.
Doesn't have a sword, but he's got a tail and a lot of eggs and a very big dream.
He just wants it really bad, but I have to imagine with 3 stocks and being the anchor that Biscuit wants it just as bad. The Shulk aerials are flying. The speed art is now out, trying to find some sort of reprieve in neutral, but Doink has been doing a very good job of slowing it down and really picking and choosing these opportunities.
Is able to swallow him, tries to get a smash off to the side, and it's going to pile on more damage. There's the first stock.
Got a tech there.
Now Widener is 2 away from defeat.
Hey, the answer back is almost immediate. What looked to be such a tough situation actually turns into an even one, but even is not enough when you're down 6 stocks to 3. I'm sure Biscuit was really hoping to hold on to that last stock, but Doink looking to do T-Stu proud and just close this one out here.
Doink lives up to his name with a well-placed shot with the egg. Speed art going to be brought out. Just trying to help Biscuit be just a little bit harder to hit in that neutral.
And unfortunately, we've seen Biscuit so many times just kind of mash moves out of disadvantage, which has given Doink really big opportunities to put on a bunch of additional damage that, didn't necessarily need to be taken. That being said, the jump, it's not used, and Biscuit unable to convert off stage, but a backslash will mean that Doink is back in a compromising position. Biscuit needs to convert here, and unfortunately, an aggressive egg means that Doink is back on stage.
Finds his way, is not going to get edge guarded this time. Throws out his ton, misses on that, but it really has been just kind of a wait and see game, Wait for Biscuit to mash all his moves and then find that one opening.
Yeah, now that the shield art is online, we're unlikely to see a stock taken, but a lot of percent can be racked up. And up air misses, and the back air will confirm the stock. Biscuit down to the final stock, and the hopes and dreams of Widener just turned into nightmares. The reset on the combos too. Doink is starting to feel it. He's starting to get a handle on this game, and it's starting to look like Biscuit's not even going to get to the final player of LVC. A read on the roll and an F smash. He's a LVC 5 stocks to 0. Goes up 1-0 against Widener.
So they are going to move themselves on to match point. You know, it always seems a little odd to refer to it when you are in a best of 3, but kind of the mini reverse sweep now needs to be brought out. But I'm not sure how you get past LVC, especially on that Falco. I just don't know if there's just a run it back option just due to how well that worked out. But we're just going to have to find out whether LVC can ride that streak to victory. We'll take a short break and be back with the second match of this Smash Battle. Whoever wins this goes to playoffs. Who would be? Find out after this. Welcome back to Nace Star League Smash Bros. We are currently having a matchup of LVC Blue versus Widener. And this is Gem and Nurse calling all the action as we're ready to head into game 2 of this best of 3. LVC finds himself at match point. And really, this isn't just a match point. You could call this a playoff point, because if they win this, they do get into the playoffs.
Yeah, that playoff spot on the line. If you're Widener, this is do or die time. You need to make sure that singular players don't go off as hard as they did, the last time we saw these guys play, which was just a couple minutes ago. But in particular, we have to call out T-Stu the Falco. Taking 6 stocks, you cannot let that happen. If that happens again, you can kiss your playoff dreams goodbye. And so you need to find someone to nullify T-Stu. If I'm on the LVC side of things, I'm sending in T-Stu first. I feel great about how he performed. Let's see how many stocks he can take. And Falco, definitely a great character against Byleth. So unless Biscuit is the first person out on the side of Widener, you can feel pretty confident about the matchup as well.
Yeah, if you want to close it out fast, just puts T-Stu on there. And speaking of closing it out fast, I do believe we are just getting ready to head into the first match. Again, 4 players, 3 stocks apiece, and just one game left until LVC can punch their ticket to the playoffs. I also say, as we wait to load into the action, I'm going to bring about a bit of some, some very traumatic. Well, you know what? I'm going to wait till T-Stu makes it on the field before I do my analogy. Let's get to Manta versus Geister first.
All right, so the same pick outside of LVC, but a switch up from Widener, opting for Geister to start things off instead of King DDD. And honestly, Pac-Man, one of those characters that performs pretty well against Rob, having such a strong combo game and being able to maintain himself in the zone. It's just a matter now of Geister performing, making sure that stocks are taken, because I believe he only took 1 stock in the last group battle.
Mike, is probably selling himself a bit short in terms of the skill level. It's just when the other player is on such a tear.
Yeah, it can be so hard when someone is really just feeling themselves. And even here, Geister will strike first against Manta. The first stock is eliminated and only 40% on the side of Geister. You're feeling really good about this position right now. And Manta, we saw he's able to put damage on, but he struggled a little bit with taking stocks. Pac-Man, not quite as heavy as DDD, but you still need to make sure these stocks don't last too long.
With only sitting at 6%, if Manta can find a smash for himself, it'll basically, for the most part, just be a reset in terms of stocks. Geister holding out at 1-1-1.
Yeah, nice neutral air off the ledge to actually catch the gyro and then convert off of it. You talked about only 19%. Try 71 after that exchange. The reset now back in neutral, but firmly in Geister's control. The throw is going to lead a mix-up, and unfortunately for Geister, his mash is not good enough to get outside of that bury. It is doable, but not quite strong enough on the side of Geister, which means these stocks are going to be evened up, but percent is looking a little worse for wear on the side of Manta.
How fast Manta's playing, forget about bringing out a Bell or a Galaxian. He's having to settle for an apple at this point.
Yeah, honestly, ending that combo a little bit early, Manta deciding to just go for the damage and try for the edge guard, unable to convert anything further, and the high recovery from Geister is actually going to get him back to stage scot-free, and the down tilt into the jab. There's no punish on that F smash either. Manta leaving damage on the board here.
Getting a lot of mileage. Goes down a hydrant, trying to find his opening, but Manta is just not letting him take any sort of breath, despite being at 102.
Oh, that's the jump gone!
Brought up to the same level.
That should have been the stock. Manta absolutely could have down smashed that, could have F smashed that, could have down aired that, could have done anything, and unfortunately, opts for nothing. Meaning that Geister is going to get back, but this stock has been all Manta as the percents are nearly evened up. And both these guys,
toward neutral.
they're so scared of the next big hit, so scared of what could be coming next. You see the respect being given right now. Neither one wants to be the first to lose a stock, and a bell is online. It is in the back pocket right now, so you have to believe Manta is worried about that, because that will confirm the stock, and it's a little overzealous, gets hit by it, but fortunately Geister nowhere near it to convert, and at this percent, a down throw will convert into the stock for Manta.
This is much how it played out in the first round as well. The first two players were very even with each other, matching each other's stock for stock.
Oh, he lives! Great DI on that back throw. This should be the stock. A miss from Geister! Means that Manta's gonna live another day, and what are you doing down there? The tech comes out off of the hydrant as well. Another bell comes out, and he lives the Nair at 160%. Both these guys a breath away from death. But unfortunately,
At that point, the hydrant is enough to take you out.
for both of them.
Oh,
The hydrant, 2 for 2 on stocks. These guys are, I mean, you can tell how much this means to them. You can tell the implications of this crew battle. Both these guys showing each other so much respect. There's no jump. And again, no commitment from Manta. Huge damage, though.
Geister is holding on with about 100, near 100 if you round up. Now it's over.
That's it.
In the range of getting taken out, and that's going to be the case.
Great play from
Nice.
Manta. Securing the gyro at the ledge, securing against the neutral get up, throwing it down to be a little bit tricky with it, making sure the stock doesn't last until 170% again, and is able to, you know, close that one out with a 1 stock lead. That's what we saw from him last time, so not too different from the start we saw before.
And of course, we still have, you know, the T-Stew variable waiting in the back pocket. So anything that you can pick up in terms of a lead for LVC before then is only spelling good omens for them. Granted, it's just a 1 stock lead, but if T-Stew managed to do so much and, you know, take 5 stocks off of Widener with just his 1 left, then, you know, the balls and all the other players' courts on the same team as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, they're gonna really need to even this up right here, because you have to imagine that T-Stew is coming out on the other side of things. So, I mean, if you're Manta, you're kind of relaxed at this point, right? You secured that one, you got 3 stocks, you got yours. Anything you get from here on is gravy, because you know that you have a very strong backline waiting for you. And I can't help but think that maybe a little more adaptation on the side of Geister could have tipped that in his favor. I think a big thing we saw throughout that game, and even the last game that Geister played against T-Stew, was a lot of those grabs going wide. And unfortunately for Pac-Man, with the tether grab means, you know, there's extra lag associated with that, there's bigger punishes associated with that, and we saw it come to fruition in that last game where, you know, Manta was able to open up that stock, partially due to the amount of grabs that Geister was missing.
And that just wasn't the only thing that was being missed, but smashes off the side, you know, multiple moves we were talking about, you know, they should have been taken out.
Yeah.
I think you were talking a little bit earlier about, you know, how they were respecting each other and, you know, giving each other space because neither one wanted to be the first one taken out. But they almost followed that a little bit too well to a fault.
Yeah. Yeah, Smash is one of those games where, because it's not a health bar, if you respect someone too much, you're giving them opportunities to find those kill moves. You're giving them opportunities because you're only doing these little hits. You know, you're doing the safe thing that does maybe 5%, maybe, you know, 7% here and there, but you're not getting the big hits that you need to confirm the stock. And so when you do that, when you give people chances to live longer and longer and longer, you just open more opportunities to lose, basically, to yourself. And so that confidence has to be in there with that kind of clean neutral play.
And it just about sums it up for my Smash experience, losing to yourself at that point. There's a reason that they are playing up there and I'm sitting where I am right here. I'll just say that much. But now, LVC versus Widener, we're ready to get into the second match as soon as we can. Do you think that the pick goes out? I mean, the pick is going to go out onto Biscuit.
With the Falcon?
He's going to be now Captain Falcon.
With the Falcon? That's
It's
interesting.
It's no Falco, but it's Captain Falcon.
Okay. That's a very big change from Shulk. A very big, honestly, even just a personal change. And so, I mean, I haven't seen a confidence pick quite this confident in a long time. To switch up from the Shulk to the Falcon means that Biscuit has something in the back pocket here. This Falcon, it has to be practiced. It has to show up because Falcon is a gigantic feast or famine character. You can either win huge with Falcon or you can lose very, very big. And Biscuit needs to come out on top of this, and we're seeing it early. This neutral, this advantage, it's lasted so long. Biscuit cannot choose wrong against Manta right now.
And trying to make his way back with an opening. That's a whole lot of damage pushed onto Biscuit, however.
So greedy.
At this point, Manta's playing with house money. Can he get one more stock?
And Manta actually could have converted the stock there if he had gotten the full drift on that forward air. There was a jab lock opportunity. Fortunately for Biscuit, it was not converted, and the up B out of shield will confirm the stock. And so on the board, we still have 3. It's a 9-9 even score across the board, but this is what we saw last time, and it begs the question, is T-Stu coming out? And if he does, how does he fare against the Falcon?
We're going to have Falco versus Falcon, and we're going to have to be very specific on our enunciation so both of them don't bleed together. But of course, that is if T-Stu comes out, you know.
Yeah.
The other players have shown that they can, you know, very, very well trade 1-for-1 to Widener. So at this point, no matter what kind of order that they choose, I don't think that they're going to be at any huge risk of seeing themselves, you know, be rolled.
Honestly, I think in this situation, I'm actually saving T-Stu. You know, Falcon is a very, very swingy matchup. Both those characters kind of dumpster each other in advantage state. And so you kind of, it's a bit of a coin flip how it goes. And if you're on the side of LVC, you want to keep T-Stu for matchups that you're kind of positive that he'll do well in, which is the remaining 2 players on the side of Widener. So I think I'm probably sending in Doink. Just, you know, Yoshi is a very solid character against Falcon, and we saw, even in the last situation, Doink was able to take all 3 stocks off of Biscuit. So I think, honestly, if I'm LVC, T-Stu doesn't need to come out just yet. Let's send in Doink, let's see what happens.
And the thing that stood out to me about Doink is anytime that he is in the air, then I am fearing those boots for the life of me, because those hit hard and they often led to a lot of combos that Doink was able to pick up stocks with.
Not only that, but when we saw once Doink got on a roll, it really just did not stop. And so what looked to be a close game between Doink and Biscuit actually ended up being not that close off the back of like just a huge combo into 2 very, very strong reads, one on an air dodge and one in a roll off the ledge that converted into the stock. And so if you let Doink kind of get rolling, we've seen what they can do, and Falcon is an easy character to do that against.
Well, it is all even thus far in the second round. Just as a recap, LVC currently has the advantage. Should they win this, then it'll be the end of the regular season for them, or rather kind of the pseudo end of the regular season. They might have a few matches after this, but they will have secured their ticket to the playoff. Widener has to bring this back, not only for this match, but a match after that in this best of 3. LVC had a great opening, a breakaway with T-Stu. That's what we've been talking about all since it happened. So everything kind of relies on who's really, is it gonna once again come down to the 2 predictions we said at the beginning? Does it go down to last stock, or is there one player who just goes on a tear? And you called it right. You've been calling a lot of things.
Put me in, coach. Put me in. I got a direct line to the LVC strat book right now.
Coach, don't put me in. The bench on the side is pretty comfy as far as I'm concerned.
That being said, I really like this pick out of LVC. I think it's the right play. Just going by the analysis we offered earlier, there's a lot of chances for Yoshi to kind of compete very well against Falcon and take a lot of favorable trades and have a lot of strong combo opportunities. It's just a matter of if Doink is able to convert on those opportunities, because this isn't Shulk anymore. It's Captain Falcon. Oh, he just goes for the knee.
Doink is able to even up the damage as both are sitting around 80, but a huge hit from Biscuit is going to take Doink north of 100.
Yeah, not a terrible spot to be in if you're Biscuit. That being said, Falcon can struggle to kill if you don't get a kill confirm. And right now, Doink is out of that kill confirm percent. So you're going to be looking for a back air or something deep off stage or an up B near the ledge. But across the stage like that, it is not enough to kill. And the air dodge in goes unpunished. Just trying for the raw up smash, and the dash attack actually will do it on the back end. Biscuit, a lead.
Few smacks with the tail might be what Doink needs to even this back up. He's taken 26. Biscuit at 144 and gets taken off the side. Back to 2 apiece.
That was not on purpose. You cannot tell me that was on purpose. Catching the jump, happy accident, but you're more than happy to take the stock. And now, like you said, the stock's even up. Biscuit, though, a very, very slight lead here.
Tries to get him with the flutter kick. That's going to be blocked by the shield. It's either been the tail or the flutter kick that have been Doink's keys to a combo.
Yeah, they've been very, very good. A lot of Yoshi's combos start off that up tilt, or that F tilt and into the up air strings. We've seen huge stuff from from Doink as far as those combos go. That being said, we haven't seen a huge combo this game. On the side of Doink, it's been kind of stray hits here and there, just kind of linking them together. There's been nothing too big, and it's allowed Biscuit to actually maintain this lead fairly well.
Doink is going to try to even up the damage deficit. He's going to find himself north of 135.
Struggling a little bit to find that last stock is Biscuit. That being said, the gentleman near the ledge. Tip your driver, because Yoshi's on the way out, and only 62% on the side of Biscuit. This is better than the Shulk. What happened? Where was this in the first place?
Sometimes all it takes is just a little bit of a change of scenery, and everything's different, but that's an even up in terms of stock. That's got to take a lot of pressure off of Doink.
Yeah.
Making sure this doesn't snowball.
Yeah, that DI was not the prettiest thing you've ever seen out the side of Biscuit, who probably could have lived that in a better situation. That being said, not letting it phase him too much, maintaining this pressure off the ledge, the knee into the up B. We're starting to get a little custom with it. Biscuit is feeling it at least a little bit, and Doink looking a little bit lost as far as an answer goes. This should be something big, though. Unfortunately, the up air conversion is not there, and Doink just mistiming a lot of these punishes.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that off of one combo, Doink can get Biscuit, but he is playing with fire. One hit is going to do it against him.
Yeah, now stuck at the ledge, and air dodge onto the platform goes unpunished again.
Oh!
No way, no way, no way.
No!
Okay, the DI comes out this time, but so deep off stage! And the Falcon King will do it!
And possibly the closest end I am seeing to what I am dubbing the Rocket Battle, because there was kicking left and right there in high-stepping fashion. Both of those players drove each other to the... I was so surprised that Doink almost pulled that off.
Yeah, that was very, very close. And if the DI had actually been wrong on that down B, we would have seen Doink coming out on top of that game. And even still, I think, that off stage, how deep he went off stage could have, secured him that stock as well had he just placed that forward air a little bit better. But fortunately for Biscuit and the side of Widener, they will take a 1 stock lead going into this next game. And with T-Stew still kind of waiting in the wings, you're very, very happy to have this lead.
Yeah, anything that you can pick up at this point. I mean, I think this Captain Falcon pick has just been night and day for Widener. It was probably just kind of the missing variable between the two teams. We, with these two teams, again, being placed second and third, we kind of assumed at the beginning that this would probably go down to the final stock. So question was, after that first match, what was missing? And I think the answer was Captain Falcon.
Yeah, and honestly, if I'm the coaching staff of Widener, I would not be the one to tell you that Captain Falcon is missing a lot of the time. I would say I would be saying play Shulk. What are you talking about? But sometimes all it takes is a knee and a dream, and, and Captain Falcon delivers on both those things in spades. And so I think, taking 4 stocks now, Biscuit kind of putting together a very, very strong performance. Is he going to be able to take more than that? If he loses this next stock without taking one against Woodchuck Man, who was the player we didn't see on the side of LVC.
And also, didn't I call this at the very beginning that
You
with a name
did.
like Woodchuck, you have Chuck in your name, you gotta go with Bowser, and I'm all for this.
And Woodchuck Man, as I remember, is another X Factor player on the side of LVC. So we'll have to see if he's able to convert here against Biscuit, if he's able to take this stock without losing one. But an early 52% is going to be looking pretty good for Biscuit. And the mix, it starts. Dude, Biscuit is putting the feet on. This could be a knee.
Of course, the one saving grace for Bowser is that he is one of, if not the heaviest, so he can go north of 200.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if, Captain Falcon is able to find those big hits or not. And I think we have confidence that Woodchuck Man's going to be able to find them, but Biscuit, the reversal off stage. The awareness is so good.
Now he's going to put the pain back onto Woodchuck, who is able to take Biscuit up to 124. Tries to slam him down, but misses.
All right, potentially an opportunity here for Biscuit to take another stock. A knee by the ledge might actually do it at this percent, and that down air was a golden opportunity, but unfortunately does not capitalize, and we're back in the neutral. The F-tilt sends him deep off stage, and he's going to be stuffed by the Flame Breath. The Falcon kick off stage. We're 3 for 3 on that working. And now this is scary. Oh my gosh.
The down air finds it for Woodchuck. And is able ultimately to trade 1 for 1 so far. And yeah, considering how the first match went, I would not have wanted to see any more stocks taken with that Captain Falcon, because once you're going on your comfort pick, you're gone.
Yeah,
That's great commentary, Jem. Once you're going, you're gone.
I'll still be seeing ya. I'll be seeing ya. That being said, honestly, a really good performance out of Biscuit, who was not even able to take 3 stocks last time, ends up taking 5 this time. From the side of LVC Blue, and gives Widener, again, a more consistent advantage. Woodchuck Man is going to be down a stock going into this next game, so it's a premium opportunity. If you can go in to playing against T-Stu with 5 or 4 stocks left, he took 6 last time, which, you would need 3 stock Woodchuck Man, but or you need a 2 stock Woodchuck Man to make that one happen. But I think a 5 or even a 4 stock lead with someone just stepping up in terms of performance makes this very, very doable.
And I think this is going to be the first real test that we have for Woodchuck Man, because we didn't even need to see him in the first match.
Yeah.
And for this one, all that we've seen him is just trying to take that 1 stock off the Captain Falcon. So now that it's going to be 3 stocks and Woodchuck Man still has 2 left, I think we're really going to see how much of a contribution he can make to LVC.
Yeah, and we're also going to see on the side of Widener 2 zoners waiting in the wings. King DDD, kind of a pseudo zoner, but Robin definitely a pure zoner. Can kind of cause problems for Bowser,
It does.
It can be tricky and so I'm actually expecting Bold to Robin out of the side of Widener just to try and clean up this Bowser. The problem is, if you're not familiar, if you're not careful, stuff like Nair back air, stuff like F tilt to the ledge, stuff like up smash. A new player? We fit? Who is this?
All right. Widener did have 5 players in their roster.
They did. They absolutely did, and they made a change based on the last crew battle. Not necessarily an unadvised change either, but another zoner nonetheless.
This kind of a dark horse battle for both teams. A chance for these 2 relatively unknowns to show their stuff.
Yeah, seriously, we have not got a chance to see much out of either of these guys, and so it's the time. You know, it could not be a more important time in the crew battle. This is where the stocks matter the absolute most, and Aiden is doing a great job racking up the percent early. All right, the up B outage.
I gotta say, I don't know if there could be any more of a size difference just in terms of how chunky these players finds it on the...
That one hurts. That one hurts. You're talking about size difference. Talk about an entire
slimmest versus the most gargantuan character of them all.
Yeah, just taking an entire spiky shell to the dome off that roll off the ledge, and we were talking about it, man. If you're not careful versus Bowser, you lose stocks in the blink of an eye, even in winning matchups, even in good matchups. Woodchuck Man knows his win condition so well, is able to find these stocks so well, and puts LVC back in the lead.
We'll take a little bit. Another grab, slam down. Dino's only at 28, so it's not going to result in a stock
Oh
taken,
my
but
god,
this
he
damage
went for
is
it.
quickly piling up.
He actually went for it all on that tech chase. The deep breathing is online, so kill opportunities are available for Aiden, but he has to find the right hit, and these up Bs out of shield mean that Woodchuck Man is going to be getting closer and closer to that kill percent. A back air near the ledge will do it, even at just 66%, and so much rage on the side of Bowser.
I don't know if all... Oh! Okay, takes him down to 1. We are all even at this point. But in terms of damage, that's a whole lot that's placed onto Woodchuck to start off.
What an answer back from Aiden to even this up, but against Bowser, even percents is not enough. You need more than that, and the body slam shouldn't be it with proper DI. We see Aiden living that one by quite a bit, but now at the ledge, what is the counterplay from Woodchuck? Man, the up tilt takes the stock, and it was looking so good for Widener. They had secured a lead. There were only 2 stocks left on Woodchuck Man, and what was 2 stocks turns into 1 and a lead again for LVC.
As soon as I saw, you know, that slim stick figure of a fighter meeting a Bowser fist that was literally as tall as his body, okay? Just the fist would made up the height difference. I knew we were gonna be in for an interesting match. It almost looked like Woodchuck Man would be able to pull away with that, but Widener is still hanging in there. It's 3-4, and T-Stu is still hanging in there as the anchor.
That is that's a big kind of sadness pill to swallow if you're on the side of Widener, because the guy who took the guy who took 6 stocks on the back of the last crew battle now has to take 3 at an absolute maximum. And so whoever's last, either I think it was Bunky's on the DD or Bold on the Robin, we don't know who's still in the rotation. Whoever's last needs to come up huge, needs to take this stock off of Woodchuck Man uncontested, and then needs to come back. Another new player.
Oh,
Capping? I'm capping. It's gonna be a Falco Ditto at the end.
I would have it no other way to end this. Woodchuck Man's going to take the few stock that he's required to take off. Now we'll see how much of a lead how well can he set it up for T-Stu.
Yeah, this is going to be tight. We saw how early Woodchuck Man was able to take stocks off against unprepared opponents. How prepared is Captain for this matchup? We're seeing that classic Falco combo game come out in spades, and Woodchuck Man so far has no answer, but Bowser is so heavy. He's able to take this.
Able to go north of 200, gets him with
he had the read
with his shell. Another hit to bring Cap'n up to 73.
And this is when we saw Aiden lose stock, so you cannot rest on your laurels here if you're Cap'n. The next up tilt back air will do the trick. The next even just back air will do the trick, and a bit of a miss on that conversion from Woodchuck Man gives Cap'n another chance. Can he make it back? He can't. Cap'n losing their first stock. Woodchuck Man still won on the board, which means at the very worst, LVC will have a 1 stock lead going into the final game.
Woodchuck Man misses the grab. That allowed a little bit of more damage to be
Oh my
placed
God.
on him. Oh, that's a huge opening! Oh, he's able to recover with the shield.
That could have been so bad. If that down B had been positioned slightly to the right, Cap'n would have died. I'm not even kidding. The stock was gone. So Cap'n thanking his lucky stars that miss, able to go off stage with the weak down air, and no tech from Woodchuck Man means that the stock will finally be taken. Only a 1 stock deficit for Widener to put this at a 1-1 scoreboard. But the person, the anchor.
And there's no better way to call him out, because Cap'n chose the Falco himself. So he's basically saying, hey, I know I've got to stand against you. The match is going to be determined right here, right now. I'm going to try to beat you at your own game.
Yeah, I mean, just cue anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. The Ditto will decide the fate of these 2 teams as we head into the final stocks. And Cap'n not looking awful, able to take that stock off of Woodchuck Man and put a lot of damage on early with some really strong combos. It's just, T-Stu, man, we saw how good T-Stu was. So the performance here needs to be Herculean to not just even it up because you're at a stock deficit, but to actually win.
But I also got to hand it to Widener. I mean, all of their players have been fairly consistent in just being able to whittle down LVC. This is more of the matchup that we thought it was going to come down to when this match started. The 2nd and 3rd ranked teams in the season, both of them fighting for the playoffs in a very crucial match.
Yeah.
This is more of what we expected we were going to see.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. We expected a last stock kind of scrappy scenario. Definitely not what we got in the first game, but thankfully, it is what we got in the second, especially with a Herculean performance out the side of Biscuit. But Falco versus Falco, T-Stu versus Cap'n. One team looking to head to the playoffs, the other looking to even give themselves a chance as we head into this final game.
Few blasters going to be thrown out to open things up.
Oh my God.
Already. I mean, pretty even in terms of damage.
Yeah, and both these characters, I mean, they're the same character, are so combo heavy, especially in the Ditto. So it's going to be a matter of who is able to get those combos, who's able to get those big hits. And Cap'n was such a greedy play off stage, but it's not punished as hard as it could have been. And the stock is almost taken. An early lead for Cap'n, who is looking to even this up, and that F smash could have been everything. Unfortunately, it's not going to hit, and T-Stu swinging one out for himself. Both these stocks looking dire at this point. That could have been converted into a back air for T-Stu.
T-Stu and Cap'n both hanging on the edge of their first stock.
Oh, what a recovery angle from T-Stu. Oh! Absolutely the most clutch play that we've seen so far. Recovering high, baiting Cap'n to go low, and actually converting the stock off of it means that we're in the exact same spot we started at. A purely even matchup, but unfortunately for Cap'n, he started the stock down.
Ultimately, all T-Stu needs to do is match the performance of Cap'n. That's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to outshow. Even if you're trading each shot 1 for 1, it still leads LVC to a win.
Yeah, these downers are coming out big for T-Stu right now. So much damage being put on the board. 109% means an up tilt back air will do the trick at this percentage. It's just a matter of when or if he's going to land it, and misses like that from Cap'n, you just cannot afford. This should be it.
This could be the final. Yep, there you go. T2 ultimately trades 2 for 1, although he could have done much more, and that's going to win it for LVC Blue, moving on to the playoffs.
And a very, very impressive run from them against a team that they were looking to be evenly favored against. They come out with what looks to be a pretty dominant performance. You know, it got close at the end there, but I feel like we both had some confidence that T2 was going to be able to close that out. So congratulations to LVC Blue for taking that 2-0 victory and securing their spot in the playoffs. But don't go anywhere, guys. Just because the matches are over does not mean we're quite done yet. We'll have an interview with the winners after this short break.
And welcome back to NACE Star League. We have just closed out our match of LVC versus Widener, and LVC has not only won this game, but has been able to qualify for the playoffs. And we've got our own Woodchuck. We've got Woodchuck Man from LVC to bring us all the action. It's great that we got to see your win, and great that we got to see you too, because we didn't see you at all during the first match. So it was great to see every player this set.
Team played well first set. I didn't even have to play, which was great. Always a good feeling when you don't have to play, because that means everybody else on the team's playing well.
You can just, be the moral support and stand back. Well, I'll throw the first question over to Nurse.
Yeah, I think the question I was having was, we saw in that first match such a kind of strong performance come out of T2, who was able to take 6 stocks off of the first crew battle, and then you guys actually chose to keep him for the anchor position. I was kind of hoping that you would send him out first just to see how much damage you could do on the run back. But can you kind of talk me through the expectations for T2 and then kind of the decision to keep him as the anchor?
Hey, Tsu 14, he does Tsu 14 things. He's going to sit there, he's going to laser, he's going to play his game. And you know what? We're perfectly fine with that. Just going into today with Widener, we literally just played Widener last week too. So this is a back-to-back set for us. And like, with like Tsu taking the amount of stocks he did the first set, it's great to see. It's great to see for us as a team because last week we had different people performing well. I performed really well last week. We had a couple different people performing really well this week. So I think it shows the diversity of our team. We're able to go in week through week. We're able to play well as a unit. We've been playing together for, I think this is our second year as a team playing together. So we have really great chemistry just with like our counter picks and everything. It's just how we're comfortable playing against people. We are looking for specific people. Obviously playing them 2 weeks in a row, we are kind of knowing what to expect, and even still they threw some curveballs at us. But overall, I think our decision making just by sending in who we thought we would need to send in was playing well, and the result was we won. So yeah.
Now, you were talking about all of the months that you have played together. It's your second year together. For this year in particular, you were up there against Widener, you know, ranked 2 and 3rd. This was for a playoff position. So give us kind of a look back at, you know, how has this semester been for you all? What are some moments that stood out to you? And then what are your hopes going forward for playoffs?
This semester, you know, we're playing well. I'm the only returning player for next year. All the rest of everyone else is seniors. So we just wanted to close the season out on the bang. So I think overall with how our season has ended up, I think we're all extremely proud of how we've been playing this season. Obviously, we make the playoffs. We get to play Stony Brook on Sunday. So just getting to that point, it's always a great feeling knowing that you guys are playing well. Expectations going forward, you know what? We're just going to play each set as it comes. Whatever happens, happens. We did play Stony Brook earlier in the season. We did take a set. However, there were some key players that they were missing, but we're looking just to game plan well and just go into it and give it whatever we can.
That's awesome. It's great to hear about how you're preparing for Stony Brook, because we know, and I'm sure you know as well, how strong a team that can be. So it's awesome to hear that you're preparing for that match, and you guys are ready for that match come Sunday. And as you look towards playoffs and kind of prepare for that, do you guys have any sort of secret sauce that you're willing to share with us? Something that has allowed you guys to kind of come to the top as compared to some of the other teams?
Secret sauce? We can't share the secret sauce. How would that? That would be fair for everyone else, would it? No, I mean, week by week, we make sure to look ahead and see who we're playing. We're obviously not going into this blind. We do our research. We know who we're playing against. Even with all these teams that we're going to be seeing a lot of teams that we haven't played before. So we're just going to make sure we know who we're playing against, and we're just going to play the best we can.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. Great match. Congratulations on your wins, and we'll see you later on in the playoffs. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much. You guys have a nice night.
Well, as far as the night goes, this is all from Gem and Nurse for that smash. I just want to say I kind of teased a visual analogy with the way Tsu was playing on that Falco. I felt like I was back in the Brawl era where Falco, when you were playing casually, could just use his Landmaster, and he would take up the whole field. And obviously, you know, a final smash doesn't apply to competitive, but it felt the same way with how well Tsu was playing. You just couldn't go anywhere without being safe.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really great performance from Tsu, and honestly, in the second match, 5 stocks taken by Woodchuck, man, who also put on a very, very strong performance. Both of these guys showing the depth that this team has and showing what it takes to get this far in the tournament. That being said, that is all from us tonight, and so I have been Nurse, and I've been joined by
Gem
for the first time ever. We've been together. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and we will see you very, very soon.